Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day filled with positivity. Step out there this morning with the right thinking that you are a winner. And of course, you are guaranteed to win. Good morning and welcome to the AM show for today, the Tuesday. But we are here to begin the day. And I'm grateful to you for allowing us to be part of your morning. Now, this is how the show will flow. We'll bring you the news review. Of course, our guest will be lawyer Kweku Paintil. We'll review what the papers are reporting this morning. And then we delve into the big stories in recent times. Following the Cecilia Dapa saga, questions have been raised about the conduct of public officials. Now, a draft bill that seeks to regulate the conduct of public officials is at cabinet for consideration. But how will the existence of a code of ethics ensure good conduct from public officials? And of course, what is the status of this particular policy? We have more as the Occupy Ghana has been writing to the chief of staff asking about the status of this particular conduct, ethics of conduct for public officials, and where it is. We'll be delving more into it. Then also to the northeast region, where severe floods are threatening livelihoods with potential food security implications. We are there and we will be speaking to authorities on plans to contain the situation. Later on the show, you'd have the chance to join us with your views via phone and on social media. Stay with us. It's your show, it's my show. Join us with your thoughts as well. And it will be the way it will be for us today. We are all meant to win, but even only if we've planned for it, that is only when we will win, and I'm sure you've done so. So welcome aboard. Let's the flight begin. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Stay with us. Good morning, and let's do AM News now. Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shirley Ayoko Botwe, has sacked officers on secondment from 9 agencies for overstaying their duty at the Accra Passport Office. The officers include Ghana Police Service, Immigration, NIB, amongst others. Madam Ayoko Botwe, who was enraged about the reported cases of extortion of passport applicants by some officers, indicated that such activities cannot continue because she is sanitizing the system. The Foreign Affairs Minister has, however, revealed that investigations are underway to deal with officers engaged in shady deals with Goro boys.
This cannot continue. I always say that there's too much happening that really shouldn't be happening within the passport acquisition system. If we talk about Goro people, these Goro people are outsiders. They do not work on their own, because if the Goro person collects somebody's money, they need to work with somebody from inside to change the dates. They work with people from inside. I'm not saying all of you, but there are some of you who are engaged in it. And this should stop. The blame is always on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Meanwhile, it's the agencies, and I'm sure even some of our staff are involved. Public servants who are supposed to be giving public service to Ghanaians. The Vice President has led the digitalization effort with my support and all of my officers, to put in place an online system. Now the online system is being manipulated so that people can make money off it. There's an investigation going on, and some names have been mentioned. And there are people from outside, a cartel, who are working with people from inside. Anybody who has been here for more than a year, from Monday, please do not come back because you've been changed. We want to bring some sanity. Every time politicians are corrupt. Meanwhile, it's some public civil servants who will do things that shouldn't be done, and then they put it on politicians. We come, we do the right thing. I'm trying to bring sanity into the passport system, but no.
Now, with immediate effect, the Greater Accra Regional Minister has placed an outright ban of the use or display of party paraphernalia at festivals in the regional capital. The Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council, at a meeting with MMDCEs, the Regional Minister of Greater Accra, Henry Korte, was criticizing multiple chief executives from various metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies within the capital. He also announced an outright ban on the use of these party paraphernalia to reduce tension.
Celebration of festivals is mainly to portray our traditional and cultural values and to display how rich they are in our respective regions. And so we think that the use of party paraphernalia usually creates a lot of political tensions within I can speak for Greater Accra, and taking cognizance of what is done in other regions, you hardly find party paraphernalia when festivals are being celebrated. So together today, the MMDC's president and presiding members have taken a decision, and that is to say that going forward, all festivals in Greater Accra will be celebrated. In fact, the party paraphernalia are banned from all festivals in Greater Accra. Strictly banned.
To other news stories now, and commercial drivers at Bung Barrier and its environs have vowed to continue their sit-down strike in the coming days until the deplorable road in the Saki Bediako Bung Barrier enclave is fixed. Residents on Monday were left stranded at lorry stations due to the action by commercial drivers. Many commuters had to walk over 2 kilometers long to the nearest place to find the vehicle. A report by Carlos Caloni.
Yeah, Ekwa we say meaning say miensa e wo kwan we 3 meaning say 3 e wo kwan we. So as you have seen me here, I've walked from Barrier to this very place.
I'm a student and then I have to move from here to Accra. So all cars are not working. Because of that, I can't go to school today.
Someone taking time will rise against you people.
The drivers who refused to ply the route also prevented other commercial vehicles from using the road. They intend to carry out this action daily until they see contractors working on the road.
Today is just a small thing that we are doing. It's the beginning. So tomorrow we are continue. And as we earlier said, if we don't see anything, tomorrow we are continue again. Massively. And tomorrow if we don't see anything, 2 weeks time, we have given them 2 weeks. And we not see anything 2 weeks, we are going to do demonstration. Whether the police will give us permit or will not permit, we will do it. Whatever they want to do, they should come and carry us. Because we are fed up. We are fed up. Enough is enough. Why? Are we not part of Ghana?
But what did the road minister tell Parliament about this road?
The Barrier to Saki Bediakun road is 3.8 kilometers long and in poor surface condition. It is located in the Bung Katamansu municipality of the Greater Accra region. The road starts from Callisto Junction to Michel Camp Gate. Mr. Speaker, currently there is no program on the Bung Barrier to Saki Bediakun road. Future program is that engineering studies will be undertaken on the road by the end of the third quarter of 2023 to determine the appropriate intervention to be carried out on the road. Work will be considered under the 2024 budget, subject to availability of funds.
Member of Parliament Joseph Akwete Tete has, however, backed the drivers' action and is demanding the release of funds to the contractor for construction work to commence.
It's also saying that
They can only consider this road in the 2024 budget. And as you can see, this road needs urgent attention. So the minister cannot push us to 2024 budget. My word to the minister is that they should come and do something on this road. We know that the road has been awarded according to the documents that we have. And so they should release the needed funds to the contractor so that the contractor can move to site.
Municipal Chief Executive of the Katamanso Municipal Assembly, Samuel Oko Amankwa, said he finds the minister's statement contradictory.
When the minister appeared in the house and he was asked about the plans, what he said is not what we know, because we have a document.
What did he say? What did he say in Parliament?
That there's no plans for Calypso to Michelle Camp Road. They don't have any plans for it. But we have a document which was signed by the Chief Director of the Ministry. And then it went to the Regional Urban Roads, which they have also signed, dated 23rd March. And then it reads upgrading of selected routes in Zenu and Pung area road phase 1, 5.23 kilometers, which has to do with Calypso to Michelle Camp and Bediako roads. And this road is supposed to be done with a drainage system. That is where the drains along the road. So what the minister said and what is before us, they are two different things. And that baffles some of us.
Assembly member of the Mlechakpo electoral area, Isaac Newton Tete, would not have any of that. He insists the municipal assembly must take appropriate action to get the road fixed now.
The stretch of road that we're talking about is just 3.8 kilometers stretch of road, and it's a trunk road that connects the N1 and the N2. We want asphalt road. We want asphalt road, but as I speak now, government have told us that they have no plans for it. So if they have no plans, then it means the assembly must quickly reshape the road to make it more trouble for the drivers.
Tension is mounting here at Bediako among drivers as well as residents over the deplorable state of this road and many other roads within this area. They are thus calling on the authorities to immediately come to their aid. They have actually threatened to continue with a sit-down strike come tomorrow. Reporting from Bediako Junction here in the Kpong Katamanso municipality, my name is Carlos Kaloni for Joy News.
Now, the case of 35-year-old popular master of ceremony for Islamic weddings in the Upper West region will be heard in camera beginning tomorrow at the Wa Circuit Court. Rashid Ahmed Anata is facing 18 counts of sexual assault on 12 minors in the last 2 years. Joy News' Upper West Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam, who was in court, reports the large crowd who stormed the court to witness the proceedings defied an early downpour.
For the second time, they were back in court and in droves. The spectators were here 2 clear hours before the proceedings started, even defying an early heavy downpour. The colonial antique building of the Wa Circuit Court was filled to the rafters and no blade of space to walk through. 35-year-old Rashid Ahmed Anata is loved and despised in equal measure, and he faces 18 counts of sexual assaulting 12 minors. Better known by adoring fans as Anata, came into the court dressed in a blue-black Egyptian traditional garment over pink sports sandals, winking smiles. Unlike the first day, where all 11 counts were lumped together by the police prosecution, the Attorney General's office, upon taking over, separated all the counts and increased it to 18. 2 assistant state attorneys at the Attorney General's Department, lawyer Kwame Boateng Mensah and Frances Akwe, read the facts of all 18 counts to his hearing. He pleaded not guilty to all the counts. Principal State Attorney, lawyer Shahid Abdul Shakur, threw more light why they have increased the number of counts from 11 to 18.
These are 2 different set of girls, so you can't lump them together because it's not from the same act. That is why we have the 5th docket. and then the fourth docket. The first docket, there are 3 girls he took to his matrimonial home. 11, 12, and then 13. He took to his matrimonial home and had sex with them in turns. It was a threesome. And then the second docket is another threesome of 3 different set of girls. The third one has one of the girls who that appeared to be an agent, sort of. She's 12 years, but she has a big body. She's able to bring in the other 2 girls, different 2 girls. That's the third docket. So you see, these things happen differently and at different places. Some in the bush, some in his house, some on motorbike, by the roadside, etc. So if you lump them together, it will make evidence a little bit conflated.
Principal State Attorney, where Said Abdul Shakur, to record whatever you have in camera proceedings of the court beginning tomorrow.
We're bringing in tomorrow. We'll bring in some 3 of the victims. We'll bring them in. We'll do in-camera handling. We'll try as much as possible to protect their identities, and then we will start very early tomorrow. So when we start, the 3 of them will testify. When they finish their testimony, in respect of the first docket, if there's still time, they will move to the second.
Chief Executive Officer of Bahas Foundation, Yusuf Ilyasu Baba, who reported the matter to the police on May 25, and therefore the complainant in the cases is unwavering in his stance.
I'm not perturbed at all. So I'm focused on where I'm going, where I'm coming from, and where I'm going. I want to see the end of this case. That's where I'm going. Whoever is doing anything beside, or I don't have problem with it. The person can do whatever he wants, but I'm focusing on where I'm going.
Also in court was the Upper Regional Director of Gender, Women, Children and Social Protection, Charity Baturi. Those he has her eyes on the court for justice. Beyond that, they are providing counseling services for the 12 minors.
So for me, it's not just about getting what the court to say, but also focusing on the girls, giving them the right services that they need. And I think talking about services, thanks to UNFPA, we have what we call the essential service package for these cases of sexual and gender-based violence, which we have a lot of coordinators and partners coming on board. So for instance, now it becomes easier in dealing with cases like this. DOPSI is on board, social welfare is on board, gender is on board, children is on board. Any other key actor that is needed is on board on this essential service package, which is helping us a lot.
Reporting Bourgeois News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
To our stories now, and the head of internal medicine at the Techiman Holy Family Hospital and member of the Ghana Association for the Study of Liver and Digestive Diseases, Dr. Felix Eninaje has said that there is a need for health professionals to check their hepatitis B statuses, as well as help in its awareness creation as a means of minimizing its spread. He expressed worry about the easy transmission of hepatitis from mother to baby and asked that more attention needs to be given to help address this. Anat Sabet has more in this report.
Hepatitis B is a global public health threat and the world's most common serious liver infection. It is up to 100 times more infectious than the HIV/AIDS virus. It is also the primary cause of liver cancer, which is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in the world. Here in Ghana, its prevalence is around 12.3%, placing it as a highly endemic country. Dr. Felix Eninaje is a member of the Ghana Association for the Study of Liver and Digestive Diseases and a specialist physician at the Techiman Holy Family Hospital.
Hepatitis B is very infectious. In fact, again, to put a figure to it, it is 100 times more infectious than HIV. And it is about 10 times more infectious than hepatitis C. So what it means is that if you have some contact with a patient who has hepatitis B and HIV, and the mode of transmission is such that you can have both, the chances are that you would have hepatitis B rather than HIV, because it is far more infectious, about 100 times. So we have that influencing its spread.
He expressed worry at the fact that hepatitis B can be easily passed from a pregnant woman to her baby at birth, and asked that enough attention need to be given to help prevent this mother-baby transmission.
Because a mother can give it to the unborn baby, we also have situations where a lot of mothers would have to be checked for hepatitis B, and then if they are positive, we need to institute measures to prevent the transfer to the baby. Usually you need to give some immunoglobulins to prevent the baby who has been exposed to hepatitis B infection, in your bid to kind of prevent the infection from being transferred. Unfortunately, most of the mothers cannot afford, because this is pretty expensive, and that in itself puts their children at risk, especially for the mothers who are positive for what we call the E antigen. They are even far more infectious, and this is something that I think as a country we should pay attention to.
The medical specialist, who is also the head of internal medicine at the Holy Family Hospital, conducted a research on the topic, Hepatitis B, the Ghanaian perspective. He wants health professionals to check their statuses as well as help in awareness creation to help minimize infections across the country.
Some health people are not aware, and surprisingly as it is, we have to keep talking about it so that everybody at least knows his or her status. The second bit to it is that we hope that these health people, after getting to know some fine details, can also go out there and propagate the message, so that somehow they would also spread the word, so that everybody out there will be aware of what is happening in the hepatitis B space, and also try to do their very best to help curb this menace.
Dr. Felix Heneji admonishes the public to adopt lifestyles that will help protect them from having hepatitis B infections.
The first step is for you to know your status. You have to test to know or to confirm whether you are positive or negative. Now, if you are negative, then thankfully we have a vaccine that can, to a very large extent, prevent you or protect you from getting the infection. Again, after taking the vaccine, you have to also avoid all the negative lifestyles that can make you more prone to having the infection. So
he also cautions the public to stay away from self-medications, as it has the tendency of complicating one's ailment.
So the advice is that you should be careful with self-medication. Not only for hepatitis B, but generally self-medication is something you want to avoid as much as possible. Because mind you, the liver also detoxifies almost every drug. So self-medication shouldn't be encouraged, both for hepatitis B and indeed for every other condition.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
Now, with barely 2 weeks to the Super Delegate Congress of the governing MPP, flag bearer hopeful Francis Adainimo is calling for a free and fair election to prevent post-election divisions. He is, however, hopeful of winning the elections to lead the party. Samuel Imbro of our political desk has more.
Adainimo is number 7 on the ballot paper, dubbing himself the Cristiano Ronaldo of the race. Nimo says he's out to prove a point and not an underdog.
I have had the opportunity to go through the exercise in 2014, and out of even 2014 when I was seen to be an unknown person. 2014 I was seen to be an unknown person, and the surprise was that I came in third. So I'm not a new person in the party. I will be seen as the underdog again in this election, and that will be the underdog causing an upset or a surprise at the end of the day.
The former Mampo MP comes into the race with a vision to the forefront, one that stretches beyond party lines. His ultimate goal is to infuse unity into the MPP's core.
So the fundamental requirement is that we need to bring all members of the party together, and that is unity. And where there's unity, then we have the maximum strength.
However, Mr. Nimo believes that the role of the elections committee in shaping the party's cohesion to ensure unity is critical by conducting a free and fair election.
Let us offer an even playing field, characterized by the free nature of it, the fair nature of it, and the transparent nature of the process.
Leveraging his professional prowess as an engineer, Mr. Nimo assessed his unique suitability to lead the country. His technocratic expertise, he argues, equips him with the tools needed to steer the nation effectively.
Having worked as a civil servant also before at the Ministry of Roads and Highways, and having been a member of Parliament, I have enough insight into how central government operates or how the entire governance structure of the country is. I have enough insight.
In 2 weeks, the fate of 5 will be decided among 10 aspirants at the Superdelegates Congress of the MPP. Will the former Mampo MP, who is contesting the race for the second time, make it to the list? Time will decide. Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
And that's how we wrap up this morning's edition of AM News. There's more on myjoyonline.com. AM News Review is up next on the show. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the AM show. Time for us to go into the papers and to review what they're reporting this morning. And I'll be joined by lawyer Kweku Paintel, who is already joining us via Zoom, and he is already with us. Lawyer, good morning. I trust all is well.
Good morning. Okay. Yes.
Great to have you.
Everything is cool running, yes.
Okay. Now I have with me the Daily Graphic, the New Crusading Guide, the Daily Guide newspaper, and the Hawk. Let's start off with the Daily Graphic. Now it says 22 assemblies spend 2.4 million, collect 1.3 million cedis in revenue. Also, 20,000 street lights for Greater Accra region ready. That's according to the regional minister. 100 million cedis voted for tourism enterprises. And it has a picture of the tourism minister, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal. Okay, so let's start with the tourism story, because now the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture has set aside 100 million cedis to promote youth-led tourism enterprises. This is in view of the tremendous contribution to the sector is making to the economy and development of the country. The Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, who disclosed this in Accra yesterday, said the government, through his outfit, was poised to change the narrative as far as tourism, arts, and the development of culture was concerned. Speaking at a forum with selected editors, he stated that the ministry would also train 6,000 young people along the tourism value chain on customer orientation as part of effort to improve the sector. The increased attention on tourism stems from its high prospect, which is now the third leading contributor to the country's gross domestic product, GDP. The sector contributed about $3.1 billion in 2021 alone. The sector is projected to contribute about $4 billion to the GDP by 2025. That is a huge one. How do we ensure, because in this country, anytime we devote some monies to help in the development of a sector, the implementation becomes a bit problematic. How do we ensure the effective implementation of this particular amount?
I would think that when these monies become available, I would rather that the government would rather have some bank. I will use a bank, a financial institution manage these funds on behalf of government.
Okay.
Because every time that the government has to manage funds of this nature, it becomes typically a political issue. And what it means is that it's party fanatics who eventually get this money. Then the criteria for disbursing the funds are not clearly defined or even when they are defined, people see it as government funds, and when they take it, that becomes the end of it. They know that it's their own way of getting some money through party means, and that's about the only reason why some of these funds cannot become recurring. In other words, cannot be invested and yield, dividends or profits, and the whole thing benefits government. So my own take of this matter is that when these funds become available, I would rather that the government should not disburse it. The government agency must not disburse it. It must go to some financial institution. I'm not even talking about any special institution set up by government. The funds should go to a financial institution whose business it is to manage funds and knows how to make profit out of managing funds. That's my own take on this matter. Yes.
The idea is also to help young businesses in the sector. You've mentioned that normally it becomes party fanatics who benefit from this. So what would be your proposal in a way, aside the bank, how do we ensure that the real people in the sector, the young people in there, are getting the support and not, as you put it, party fanatics?
Yeah, let me put it this way. Whichever way it is, a loan is a loan. And it's the ability to repay the loan that makes the funds, worthy of it. And so it's like me and you, anyone, if people come to you, they are looking for a loan. I ask people to demonstrate to me how they intend to use the money. You want a loan for what? What's the project? What is it that you have in mind? What are the projections? What exactly do you want to do? People must go through these things. I'm not saying that maybe the way of the disbursing funds are not done along this type of lines, but it comes back to the issue. Whether you are young, whether you are old, I quite understand. And maybe the guarantee or security may not be the same, but it has to be done in such a way that it can be monitored. It has to be done in such a way that somebody can ensure that, there's a yardstick for measuring how the funds are used and how the funds are repaid, and how to go after the people who take this, who are the beneficiaries of these facilities that come in. That's the yardstick. That is the standard. Whether indeed it is disbursed by a bank or it is disbursed by a financial institution. These are the measurements. In other words, what do you want it for? What exactly? What's the project? Is it in writing, and how can we follow? At least you convince me on paper that this is how you intend to use it. Convince me on paper that when you put this much to the whatever enterprise that you want to do over a certain period of time, this is what you're going to yield, how much is going to come out. How are you able to repay? That somebody must convince somebody, at least on paper, so that if we are not able to run it the way that it does, then at the end of the day,
all right. Looks like we're having challenges with lawyer's line, but we'll try and rectify it so we can have a smooth conversation with lawyer Kweku Petro. He's our guest on the news review segment of the AM show here on the Joy News channel. Well, we understand that report. One other story in the Daily Graphic says 200,000 street lights for Greater Accra ready. Now, the story is written by Joshua Bediaku-Kumsen, and it reads that the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council has procured 20,000 street lights to be distributed and installed in the various metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies in the Greater Accra region. This is to improve the lighting system and security in the region. Currently, the council is collating a list of all the electoral areas within the region to help draw an itinerary with contractors to fix the light. The Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Korte announced this yesterday at the annual Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council meeting held in fulfillment of Section 191 of the Local Governance Act 2016 Act 936. He said the two metropolises in the region, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and the Tema Metropolitan Assembly, would each receive 600 street lights, while the various municipalities get 400 each. In addition, Mr. Korte said district assemblies would also receive 300 street lights each. Well, I'm sure for those of us who live in the city and how dark it becomes in the night, this would obviously be good news. But how do we move on from here? Lawyer Kweku Pentele, stay with us. Lawyer, I guess I guess all is well now. You might want to complete your statement and then we'll move on to the next subject.
Yeah, but you know, we are doing a newspaper review and you notice our internet is playing up and we have a National Communication Authority, a National Communication Authority in this country who sees everything right with these things. I swear, I remember one of the times I was in the UK and Vodafone UK had been fined a huge amount for disruption in services and poor services. And those poor services.
And I agree with lawyer there that in this country, service providers do anything they like and they go scot-free. Nobody really does anything to them because you buy expensive data, yet the sort of service you get is quite questionable. Anyway, now the story on the 20,000 street light says the meeting brought together all the MMDCs in the region and their presiding members to discuss development and challenges confronting their respective areas. The common issues that came up at the meeting included sanitation, flooding, congestion, deplorable roads, and chieftaincy. The MMDCs also updated the minister on some of the ongoing projects in their respective assemblies and the levels of completion so far. Now, sometimes you wonder why we would sit and allow darkness to engulf our cities. And it will take a certain meeting for us to then be given a briefing that, some street lights have been procured. Why that? Why do we need to allow people to live and drive in darkness with all of it attendant negative impact before we are told that, a number of street lights have been procured? This should be a regular happening, that when there is a street light that is malfunctioning in a certain corner, it is replaced quickly. We don't need for darkness to engulf the city and it will take a certain meeting, then an announcement to be made that there's a number of street lights have been procured. But yeah, lawyer, we now have you on phone because data or the internet is not stable, so we have to bring you on phone. Well, so you wrap up on your thought, and then we move on to the next subject.
Yeah, the real issue is not the fact that government is providing street lights. The real issue, whose responsibility is it to provide a street light? If you take any time you take your bill from ECG, there's a portion of the bill that goes for street lighting. In other words, we pay for it. And therefore, the fact that ECG will allow this country and this city to be in darkness all the time, half of the time, and by so doing facilitating all kinds of, evil doing, if I may put it as blunt as that. It is the real issue. And let me tell you, let me provide my solution to that. Whilst we commend government or the minister for that effort, I think with due respect, it's a misplace of government funds. It's a misplace of our dear funds. At the end of the day, ECG takes the money to provide a street light, and they don't do it. And then they're going to take money from elsewhere. And next year, you're going to see this one at a public accounts committee, and somebody's going to ask, why did you take this money to do this thing? When it is not part of the responsibility of government to do that, because we are already paying for it. So what does ECG, what does it use the money for? These are the real issues in this country. We take money because it's available, and we use it for this because we think it's convenient. But there's somebody that's taking the money, and they are not accounting for it. And that's the real issue. So much as I may commend the government for that initiative, the real truth is we must go. What do they use our money that they collect for street license? What do they use it for? They don't account for us. My prescription for all of this is that I think Ghanaians must cultivate a habit when we sue almost every utility provider, every government institution for some of these things. Because they take it for granted. We have a Minister of Roads and Highways, we have all whatever, then we have potholes all over the place, people pesticides and whatever, and we complain, and nobody appears to be looking at that. Because here, issues of negligence and whatever, it doesn't really mean much to anybody. So we inflict ourselves year in, year out with all manner of things that people by legislation and by their mandate are required to do. And when they are not doing it, we're not questioning it, and at the end of it, some government official would then try to fix it. So the solution is not permanent. The solution is never in order. Because that is not the business of government. That's my view of the matter, based on the arrangements in place that I already know. So we can move on.
All right. Now, a story. This is also one story that's of heavy interest. 22 assemblies spend 2.4 million cedis, collect 1.3 million in revenue. Now, 22 local assemblies have been indicted for inefficiencies in revenue collection. This is contained in the Auditor General's report on the audit of the Metropolitan Municipal and District Assemblies for last year. While the assemblies paid 2.4 million cedis as salaries to 129 revenue collectors, they collected 1.3 million cedis as revenue between January 2022 and December 2022. The collections represented 55.02% of the salaries of the collectors, leading to a shortfall of about 1.5 million cedis. So we are not getting money from those revenues. We are rather spending. And this is an annual affair. How do we get out of this rat race?
Yeah, every time that we talk of corruption, the perception is somebody profits. In other words, somebody takes money, puts in his pocket. But corruption is much wider. Corruption goes beyond physically, people benefiting directly. But inefficiency, incompetency, mismanagement in terms of negligence, because he who knows how to do a thing but does not do it, it also causes as much harm as the one who willfully, benefits from doing something that he does. So this is a clear case of incompetence coupled with negligence, coupled with mismanagement. And of course, it has to be fixed. Somebody has to study what really happened. Please, it's not all the time that we may say somebody has profited by it. But the point I'm making is that negligence is as good as the one who takes the money and puts it in his pocket. So there may be as well a good case for what they did, but then having done it and having seen that it did not yield the desired result, maybe they have to study their system very well and try to improve it. It's part of governance. It's not everything that government does that government is going to, make a profit out of it or, achieve the desired result. But the whole of governance is studying your weaknesses, studying the way you do things, and learning from your mistakes and trying to move forward. So that's about all that I would say. Somebody must look at.
But lawyer, isn't it time that we probably align salaries with productivity? For example, you spend 2.4 million cedis in paying revenue collectors, and they were only able to collect 1.3 million cedis. That is really something that should awaken the consciousness of these assemblies to say, well, we'll peg your payment to how much you bring in. A percentage of how much you collect is what you earn. Isn't it time we look at that arrangement?
I wouldn't know whether we can do it over the nation as a whole. I don't know whether this is one off of such a transaction. In other words, we have not been told for previous years what they managed to do. But the real point I'm making is that tying somebody's salary to what he does or earns, we call it commissioned agent. In other words, a person earns a commission. It's an option for the assemblies to try. And who knows, if they did so, possibly their revenue may be boosted sufficiently, for them to be able to adopt it as a way of managing their revenues along those lines. So I will not go straight ahead and accuse anybody of corruption at this stage. I would think that maybe it's a one-time transaction that went so bad, maybe because things were not monitored so properly.
Okay.
But I agree with you that appointing commission agents or people who work for commission is a very effective way, particularly of managing revenues to the assembly.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, before I put aside the daily graphic, but lawyer, I don't know the university you attended, but I went to the University of Cape Coast.
There's only one university in Ghana. They call it the University of Ghana.
No. Okay, don't let us start this argument, because in fact that one is a contested, contestable point of view. But the only university of competitive choice in this country, we all know, is UCC. And today, management staff, a student of the University of Cape Coast, we are all celebrating Miss Rose Amwenima Yeboah for winning the first ever gold medal. Lawyer, the only university that has won Ghana's first ever gold medal in women's high jump event for Ghana at the just ended International University Sports Federation's Summer World University Games in Chengdu, China. Aiko Motna, yeah. So yeah, that's it. And lawyer, we are among top 400 globally universities. Number 1 in Ghana, number 1 in West Africa. We are 4th university in Africa, and number 24 globally for research influence. So that's by way of just informing you, lawyer. Let's go on to another paper.
We call it top government official refuses to comment.
Okay. Let's look at the Daily Guide newspaper. It says, Tall boss resigns. Mahama condemns coups. BOG not mandated to report to Parliament. That's according to Majority Leader. Emisatha takes on Western Chiefs. Okay. Let's deal with Mahama. It says the flag bearer of the opposition, National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has publicly denounced coups, the illegal and overt attempt by the military to unseat an incumbent leader, saying, quote, constitutional governance is still best, unquote. According to him, constitutional governance empowers citizens to change their leaders peacefully if they believe they are not functioning in their best interests. His remarks follows the recent takeover in Niger, which was spearheaded by soldiers from the presidential guard and is only the latest in series of coups in recent years in Africa. Now, lawyer, I've heard most people say that it serves as a notice for the constitutionally elected government, especially the president, not to toy with the various countries' constitution, and also to govern according to the interests of the people, because that is how you prevent all of this from happening. I'm sure you followed what's happening in West Africa, and you've probably seen what's, the similar undertones happening. How do you think West Africa can deal with these rising number of coups that are happening across the sub-region?
I think first I commend President Mahama, President Mahama, for the comments that he made, and it's quite significant that he, being the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, which has a history, the whole party is built on the foundations of a coup, and if he comes out to make that statement, it is a plus for Ghana's democracy, and I appreciate him for that. Now, talking about what's going on in Niger and what's going on in West African countries, you see, there's a pretense. Some people think that a democratic government becomes democratic merely because it went through the processes of being elected and so forth and so on. That's point number one. The whole of governance is for those who govern to appreciate that they are fallible, like you and I, and that the whole idea of governance is trying to reduce or minimize errors that human beings make. No government can pretend to be infallible. That's the foundation of democracy. And so this business that have arisen, where people think that for some reason, if government has erred, or if government is going off track, or if government is somehow not behaving in accordance with the democratic temper or governance, then somehow it gives a right to the military. And I like what Mahama said, because he said, on the whole, at the end of the day, for instance, in Ghana, it's about time that we make what we call a comparative analysis. Because, you see, these soldiers that have come in Niger, all the people who are demonstrating, give 1 year. These people cannot even come out to demonstrate either way, whether in favor or against them. That's what people really don't sit down and look at the long-term effects of these things. The military, when they come, they are worse. The record in Africa is that they are worse in governance than the civilians. The real question that I've been asking myself over the last 2 or 3 weeks is, you notice that almost all the officer corps of African military. They tell us, we want to Sanes, we want to this. They are trained by colonial masters. So I've been wondering, what is it in the training that they give to developed by the British for training our soldiers to make themselves a power block and all of that? Something got to change in this country. And of course, in other African countries. But please, for those who are celebrating militaries as a way of removing what do you call democratic government, let them go on. They haven't seen anything before. 1979, I was a sixth former. I know what it is to go through a country with soldiers, doing all manner of things. All of a sudden, the soldier becomes an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-everything. And then they subject the citizens, they molest, they do all kinds of things. So please, in the name of Jesus, I pray that this thing will never be part of our history. Those who are celebrating it, maybe they don't know. They are the intellectuals. But they become the intellectuals in the cloakroom of these African dictators. And they ensure that they are never taught. But the history of Ghana will show you that sooner than later, the babies of the revolution, they are eaten by the revolution itself. We have a history in this country. Those who do not know, they should go to University of Ghana bookshop. There are lots of books on the coup in Ghana and all of these things. They should go and read very carefully and take useful lessons and know that you cannot encourage a soldier to betray a government and all of a sudden the soldier, at the end of the day, they also want power. So the real issue is whether the military in Africa can also use coups as a way of retaining power and ruling and so forth and so on. That's my take. It's a horrible thing, and it's about how we deal with it as an institutional issue. The training our soldiers receive, the training, we should go back to it. That's my take on this issue.
Okay. Now, there's a story on page 6 of the Daily Guide newspaper. It says, Emisatha takes on Western chiefs. And the story is written by Emmanuel Opoku from Buzia. Now, former Second Lady, Mrs. Matilda Emisatha, has taken a swipe at chiefs in the Western region for allegedly doing little to help halt the activities of illegal mining in the Western region. Now, she says, and this is a quote from her, to sum up the state of affairs in the Western region, I would like to quote what a friend I took to Newtown, a border area near Hafasini. This friend asked me, are we in Ghana? Because there were no good roads, she added. She said the schools were in sorry state. Most of the towns had no potable water. There were also abandoned drains and gutters which had become death traps. Quote, our region has been neglected and is helpless to the extent that there is no legacy that we are leaving anybody, unquote, she asserted. Lawyer, I don't know how well you know the Western region, but what do you make of what the former Second Lady is telling the chiefs of the Western region, especially about roads which are in bad state and all of that?
I think I wholeheartedly agree with her. Her comments are right. And sometimes it's embarrassing. Sometimes I do not know how to call some of these things. The places where we got the best of everything turn out to have the worst of everything. And sometimes you look at it and it's unbelievable. First is the Galante issue. Ghana has a peculiar landscape where almost every piece of land, except those which are acquired by the Ghana government through an executive instrument, every land is owned by a school or a family. Every land in this country. What it means is that somebody takes direct control over the land. And in terms of even conveyancing, it has to move from a chief before it goes to an individual. It has to move from a family before it goes to an individual. So at the end of the day, we are looking at how we have all conspired to ensure that we have no control over our own land, over our natural resources. And the joke of this whole thing is that for all the people who are decimating and, subjecting our lands to all these things, we don't even see the money that they make. We don't know where they take it to. There's nothing absolutely significant about any of these people. You can't go into any community and be shown an edifice constructed by these galamseyers or whatever. So, I mean, sometimes it's very puzzling. It is very, very puzzling. And the roads and everything that is the Western region. As a matter of fact, I only know how to start right there a few times that I go inside. But, I mean, what I've heard is enough to show that the Western region, which is the basket, whatever, of this country, the food basket of Ghana, I mean, it's in this deplorable state. And I wouldn't know what is it that we need to do that we haven't done. But it really calls for action by the chiefs, because the chiefs are the rulers or the people, the overlords of all these communities. And until the chiefs come together, they have traditional councils, they have regional, traditional councils, and so forth and so on. Unless they see it as an agenda and draw up an agenda and take action at the local level, there's a limit to what government can do. You know, every time in this country, everybody's about government. I think it's a shame that at this time in our life or political life, we still think that government ought to be responsible for everything. It cannot be. And it's about time that we realize that those at the local level ought to take responsibility. And when we talk about that, we're talking about these kids in their communities. It's about time that their own citizens started. You know, all these demonstrations we have about government, you never heard about any people demonstrating against their chiefs. Because if the chiefs do not allow the people who come into the community, they will not even be there. So because we believe that government is everything, now that even elections coming around, this is a time for political terrorism. People are making, if you don't do this for us, we will not vote. When they themselves, they know there's a minimum requirement of the things that they themselves can even do to attract the government into the community.
Okay.
But that is not to share government's responsibility overall. But I'm thinking that at the local level, I'm not too sure that our chiefs are doing enough at all. That's my personal view about this matter.
Okay. But I guess as for the roads, which are so terrible in the Western region, as for that, the government needs to know that when you are cutting your manganese to the port, you are cutting your bauxite to the port, you are cutting all of those minerals and all of those precious things that we export. And that road, which is, of course, an ECOWAS road, a very important road, you don't need a chief to tell you that you need to fix the road, do you?
No, it's about the companies. It's about the companies who've got all those contracts. The real issue is we've got a Minerals Commission, we've got the Ghana Investment Promotion Council, we've got all these institutions who are the ones who enter into all these contracts. What is the social contract that these people have under those agreements? Why did they take all the money without any responsibility whatsoever? I mean, the revenue that government makes out of these things, the contract, it's about time that we examine these contracts to know what portion of these funds. You know, I remember some time back, somebody did a contract between Johannesburg and Obuasi and showed us the difference. It's the same, you know, I don't know how else to describe it. It's the same funds, the same revenue government generates from these things that they use for. So there's everything going to a central account. No portion is left for the development of these roads. And the companies themselves, I do not know. But I know that they have social contracts in the communities, and the chiefs and those places in those communities. It's about time that they started to take an interest in the contracts that the central government, because let me put it this way, as a matter of law, every mineral that is found any part of this country, it divests the owner of the land of any interest in it, and it goes directly to government. So the real issue is what role, what place does what the chiefs have in these contracts when they are drawn up. Maybe it's about time that these chiefs started to sit down with government, look at these contracts, began to see what the portion of these funds that are generated from these contracts are compulsorily employed into their community by way of development. That is a critical area. I mean, that I believe that our chiefs must be demanding from the central government.
Okay, all right, lawyer.
Yes.
So I'm great. I mean, those are fantastic points that you raised there, and I'm grateful that you could find time to join us this morning on our news review. So that's the news review, but it was brought to you by courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and we're offering prostate screening and free female fertility screening. We are located at Accra Spintex opposite Shell signboard in Kumasi Chronom Abohia behind Angel Educational Complex. And in Takrade, we are in the Anaje Estate in Tema Finance at Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, Esiama in the Inzima area. You can give us a call on 0244 867068 or 0274 234321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic diseases. And we're grateful to them for supporting us. Greetings to Dr. Amwakohene and family in the state of Connecticut in the USA. Your good works for humanity shall never be in vain. God bless you. And it's coming from my producer, Kingsley, a very good man himself. So that's it. But we have more coming your way here on the AM show. So don't go away. Stay with us.
Good morning. I am Muftau Nabila Abla, and this is AM Sport. Now, let's start from the camp of the Ghana Football Association. They have announced the list of people who are vying for various positions within the football governing body. About 37 people have all filed nominations to contest for various positions within the Ghana Football Association, and the topmost of them is the president, where Kurt Edwin Simeon Okreku, the incumbent president, will be coming against George Akwesi Afriye for the position of president of the Ghana Football Association. The election is scheduled for September 27. For the Executive Council position for women, Gifty Oware Mensah, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Very Ladies and also the Deputy Director of the National Service Secretariat. She's contesting for that slot. She is the only one, which means that automatically, if she's able to go through the vetting process, she's going to be part of the Executive Council of the FA. For the Division 1 slot, Mark Addo, who is currently the Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, is contesting again for a second tenure. Samuel Enimado, Eugene Noel, Gideon Foso, and then Alexander Ababio. These are the people contesting for the Executive slot for Division 1. 3 people are going to be voted onto that council. And then for the Premier League, 11 people, including former Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah, is in there. Kingsley Osei Bonsu, Nana Safo Odro, Frederick Echampon, Anthony Orban, Ransford Abbey. These 5 people are the incumbent on the Executive Council of the Ghana Premier League for Premier League and Division 1, because Dr. Randy Abbey contested for the position of Executive Council on the ticket of Division 1 because Heart of Lions were in Division 1. But now that they've qualified to the Premier League, he's going for the Premier League spot. Onyina Ascenso of Legon Cities, Edmond Aka Samatex, Kwesi Appiah going for the slot on the ticket of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Alaji Akambi, that's Amadou Moro Brima, is on the ticket of House of Oak. Leonard Mande of Kerala United, and Rafael Jabra. Rafael Jabra, he was the Bono Regional Football Association chairman. Currently, he's still the chairman until the elections are done. But now he's going for the Premier League slot on the ticket of Ediana Stars. Now let's take a look at the various regions, the people who are vying for those positions. Some of them are going unopposed. For the Greater Accra region, Samuel Abuabri, he's a current chairman of Greater Accra Football Association, and he's coming against Johnson Bosom-Pim. For Central region, Robert Duncan is coming against Abdulhai Yate. Robert Duncan is the incumbent. And then when we go to the Western region, we have Simon, he's also in there, and then we have Mark Bismarck also contesting. For Northern region, Mahamadou Abu Hassan, Alaji Raizo is the incumbent, he's going unopposed. For Eastern region, Linford Asamoah is going unopposed. For Ashanti region, Osetutu Ajiman is also going unopposed. For the Volta region, Daniel Agboga, he's the incumbent, and he's coming against Matthew Kadu. For the Bono region, we have Dixon Dia also coming up. He's also contesting for the position of Executive Council, and we have Meshach Asante as well, and Dr. Charles Osei Anto. For the upper is Salf Zida, and then Abel Asogo is also contesting. And then for the Upper West region, we have Amadou and then Ahmed as well as Kwame. These are the people vying for the various positions of the Ghana Football Association. The elections scheduled to happen on September 27. And by virtue of the amount that were advertised by the Ghana Football Association, it means about 537,500 Ghana cedis has been paid into the GFA accounts for these people who have filed to contest for the various positions. Now, let's talk about Accra House of Oak and their board chairman, Togbe Afede. He's been speaking about some of the issues that are within the club. According to him, the biggest enemy of House of Oak is the club itself.
The biggest challenge we have had so far has been from our own people. The biggest challenge from our own people, which is not fair. Even in the animals kingdom, I'm sorry to say, lions, they come together. They won't betray one of their own to highness. Would they do that? They won't do that. Lions will come together and defend their own against highness, let alone betray. That's the only thing I know, where others and always insults, negativity, insults, so that even the good things we are doing, people will paint a negative picture, rubbish even the movement that we are building, which is the envy of many other clubs. It's not right. Dr. Nyauta said it. We all cannot think alike. And that's the beauty of humanity. Because we cannot think alike, that's why we're making progress. Your idea comes, his idea comes, my idea comes. All we see is progress. If we all think alike, it means what? Our forward march will be stifled. We can't make progress. That's a reality. That is the reality. You know, since we took on, that's been the biggest challenge. Making it go for us to raise sponsorship, because people think we're always fighting. People think we're always fighting. Those who have been against us have succeeded in stifling our progress. Some of the things we are setting up on man, for example, could have happened much earlier. A lot of the dreams would have been materializing much earlier.
Togbe Afede speaking there. Now let's hear from Samuel Inkum. He wanted a return to Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and that did not succeed. And he rather switched to Accra House of Oak. He's been explaining what happened behind the scenes, and his move to Asante Kotoko did not materialize.
I think when I was coming to Ghana, I said I want to play Ghana football, you know, and I was being professional, because I said to myself that it's the same league that who gave me the platform. So for me to come back and play the same league, I would not be something that I feel shy to come and play the league that gave me the platform. So I came. It was Kotoko who sent me an offer, official offer from Kotoko, from Nane Wamponsa, which was the CEO. So I told him that okay, that's fine. So I came. We were talking about it back and forth in terms of money and a lot of issues as well. So when I came, I tried to call him, and he said to me that the first time I called him, he said to me that he's in the meeting at the moment. He will call me back. So he called me back, and he said he will get back to me. Okay, so it went to a point that the board members want to see if I really want to play. You know, so I met a couple of them. We sat down, we discussed, and I told him that if you guys thinking maybe there's no money, I would love to play for free. But at the end of the day, the coach said he's already having his team. He has like 4 players in my position. You understand? So it tells me that when I come, I'll be 5. Fifth choice. Yeah, 5th choice. So. And I even told them that on the day, whoever will train good will play. But they also let me know that the coach is okay with the right back he has, and which I respect him for that decision, because it doesn't mean that you are a legend, so you can just do what you shouldn't do. You have to respect him as a coach. You have to also understand his game plan. He said this kind of players that he has is good for him. And at the end of the day, I think he finished the season and he won the league, and which I respect him so much for that. But the fans was not, the fans couldn't understand
what happened behind the scenes.
What happened behind the scene, because they wanted me to be in the team at all costs. So this is what happened. I cannot just say, I'm Samuel Income, so I'm just, I want to, how to say, I don't want to obey the instructions that me and you know that football, there's certain regulations are in football. So yes.
So what were, in fact, we had stories that came out claiming that you said the CEO feels so big to call you, but what you're telling me is quite different from that.
Yeah. You know, the moment this Kotoko deal didn't happen, there was a lot of rumor. There was a big tension, even on me. The fans were insulting me. They were giving me, they were bashing me back and front. I'm ungrateful. I'm that. I decided that I would never talk. You understand? Because I don't want also big tension in the team as well. I just want the playing body also have a good mind to also focus on the league itself. So yeah, there was a whole lot, you know, but even it got to a point, some people are saying that I said I need $10,000 and they said they don't have $10,000, so that is why the deal couldn't happen. But it was not like that, you know, so I don't want to talk too much about this.
Yeah, but did you say the CEO feels too big to call you? Did you say that anywhere?
I don't remember. I think I said something that I called him and he said he would call me back. You understand? And I started calling him. There was no answering phones. That is why I got to know that maybe there's something happening. You understand? So when the board members also tried to invite me, I went there. I was there. They called the CEO in front of me and they were talking to him that Income is in front of us. We would love him to be in the team. What is the problem? What is happening? And I think he said something that I heard it. He said something that they should talk to the coach. This is what he said. They should talk to the coach. So it means like he has played his part. You understand? Yeah. I know. There was a whole lot, brother.
Not to stretch this conversation, but just this moment, just some few minutes ago, a couple of minutes, you mentioned that the CEO called you back. So I'm struggling to put 1 and 2 together. If the CEO called you back, where from there, like you're trying to him and he's supposed to call you back, and where from all this? I'm a bit confused.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying, that it got to a extent that a lot of stories came up, a lot of them.
So in essence, some of the stories were false.
Yes, I'll put it that way. Some of the stories, for me, it was not something that I said it. You understand? So, but at the end of the day.
Did you feel disrespected by some of those reactions? Having given your all to Kotoko before?
I said to myself that, okay, my last club before I traveled was Kotoko.
Yeah.
And I wanted to come and play, and this stuff is happening. It got to a point that I was feeling like, okay, maybe I don't deserve to be there. And also I feel like, okay, whatever I did for them, maybe they don't appreciate it. But I got to know that it's not the same people that when I was there, I'm talking about the management.
Yeah.
They were not there. They were not there at this time. So I don't feel like I have to be like I'm disappointed. I wanted to play, but it didn't happen. And this is football. Football is like that, you know. If you want to go somewhere and they don't feel like you have to be there, you have to find somewhere else, which they will appreciate you, they will cherish you as well. So I didn't feel down at all, but I just said to myself that I have to move on.
In essence, it was the coach who did not allow you to come to Kotoko.
They said, I met him one time, but we didn't even talk about this, you know.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to say it was the coach. I don't want to also blame it was the CEO, management. You know, the management. That is why I want to make it in general that if it's supposed to happen, it was going to happen. But it didn't happen. So yeah.
Championships. This is our wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.
Cannot continue. I always say that there's too much happening that really shouldn't be happening within the passport acquisition system. If we talk about Goro people, these Goro people are outsiders. They do not work on their own, because if the Goro person collects somebody's money, they need to work with somebody from inside to change the dates. They work with people from inside. I'm not saying all of you, but there are some of you who are engaged in it. And this should stop. The blame is always on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Meanwhile, it's the agencies, and I'm sure even some of our staff are involved. Public servants who are supposed to be giving public service to Ghanaians. The Vice President has led the digitalization effort with my support and all of my officers to put in place an online system. Now the online system is being manipulated so that people can make money off it. There's an investigation going on, and some names have been mentioned. And there are people from outside, a cartel who are working with people from inside. Anybody who has been here for more than a year, from Monday, please do not come back, because you've been changed. We want to bring some sanity. Every time politicians are corrupt. Meanwhile, it's some public civil servants who will do things that shouldn't be done, and then they put it on politicians. We come, we do the right thing. I'm trying to bring sanity into the passport system, but no.
Well, so welcome back to the AM show. Let's get into the big issues now. And of course, let's start from the in quote, anger of the minister when she paid a visit to the passport office and acquainted herself with what was happening. She is not happy with how things are progressing at the office. She says now that we've digitalized the processes, people should not struggle like they do currently in acquiring a passport. Well, I've been joined on the line by lawyer Kweku Paintel. He is still with us. Dr. John Osai Kwapong, he is a CDD Ghana fellow. Those of us on Facebook, we call him the professor. We also have Vitus Azim. He is an anti-graft campaigner. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Great. Thank you. Let me start with you, Dr. John Osai Kwapong. I mean, on social media, you do have a lot of experiences to share. If you look at the challenges Ghanaians go through in acquiring a passport and you compare it to other jurisdictions, what is really wrong with our system that needs correction for us to have a very smooth, process?
Thank you very much. Good morning again. As you play the clip, the minister is pointing to something key that frustrates the process, and that is still the human involvement in the process of passport acquisition, right? She talks about, and rightly so, that to facilitate the process, to make it more efficient, there are all of these efforts to introduce technology, to digitalize the process and all of that. And yet there's still that human factor that, gets, in the way. Gets in the way of the process, whether it's the changing of dates, things like that. And I think that's that is what makes it different from other jurisdictions, which is, the lack of fidelity to the well-established processes and procedures for the acquisition of a passport. Nobody wants to wait their turn. And there are people, as she rightly pointed out, there are people on the inside who ensure that, people, skip the line, etc., etc. Because really, the Goro boy, or the Goro person who takes your money cannot facilitate the process for you without the collusion of someone on the inside, because they do not have the Guru person doesn't have access to whatever systems is in place. And again, technology is supposed to facilitate these things and make them faster, but there's still that human hands that still ends up slowing down the process for one reason or another, and that becomes the challenge, and that becomes what distinguishes our process from the process in other jurisdictions. Yes, getting something from the public sector sometimes can take time, because you are not the only one demanding the service or in need of a particular product, and there are processes that you have to go through. But again, there are things that have been put in place to facilitate that process, to make it more efficient. And unfortunately, the human factor, colludes with other persons to make it unnecessarily frustrating.
You had mentioned that this same human factor have been able to, temper with the online system such that it reduces the efficiency of that system. How do we deal with these people to ensure that, we are able to completely move them away from interfering with the system, so the system can work and deliver the sort of efficiency that we're all looking for?
That's a really tough one. But I think when you find those who deliberately get in the way of allowing the process to work as efficiently as it is, and you exert punishment, I think in these cases, immediate punishment is the key. That would help serve as a deterrent to others, because we can keep introducing the technology, we can keep rewriting the rules. But if we don't enforce the rules, if we don't enforce the processes, the procedures that we've put in place, then those things would not, produce the kind of results that we expect to produce. Which means that ultimately, what you need to do is the enforcement of whatever sanctions you put in place against those who are found to be culpable of undermining the systems and processes that you put in place.
Let me bring in Lawyer Kweku Pentil here. Lawyer, so with your legal understanding, the minister says those who have overstayed, and of course, some of them could be behind all of these issues that do not help in us getting the sort of efficiency we need. In quotes, these Goro boys and all of that. She says they shouldn't come back from Monday. Is that the best way to deal with it? How do we ensure that the right things are done so that the right message can be conveyed? Lawyer Pinto? Well,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now hear you.
Hello?
I can now hear you, sir.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that, please, my Kweku is E. I'm a Fanti. It's not KWA. It's KWEKU.
Kweku.
Yes?
That's fine.
Fantis don't spell Kweku with A.
That's
You're right. So I'm born. Yeah, so I'm good. So what I'm saying is that I understand what she said to mean an acknowledgement on the minister's part that keeping people in one place for too long helps to breed corruption. This is basic for those who do public administration. They don't keep one person in one place for all this long. So it's an acknowledgement on her part. So I don't even understand her to mean that they are necessarily going to be sacked, but then they are going to be shifted over the place. That's just a part of the problem. But as a lawyer, let me just tell you other problems related to this. Currently in this country, or rather on the part of the World Bank, every year they publish what they call World Bank doing business in Africa. They do it on a country-to-country basis. So every year you've got what they call World Bank doing business in Ghana. And in that book or in that report, is a kind of chronology of all kind of services that are available in this country over what timelines that you can achieve those things. Like if you want to register a company, they give you a timeline for all the activities. If you want to register a business, GIPC, they give you a timeline for all the activities and the related cost of doing those kind of things. And this is available online, available all over. So when a businessman, for instance, wants to instruct a Ghanaian lawyer, he has already gone online, he's seen all that information, and when it comes to you, he instructs you, he has a fair idea of what kind of timelines that these things are expected. Let me use, because what the minister said, the same thing runs at the Registrar General Department, which is the key point. I'm sorry I have to make those cross analysis, but it's absolutely important. The frustration that the minister expressed with regard to obtaining a passport is the same thing when you go to Registrar General. And so when your foreign investor who sits in America goes to World Bank doing business in Ghana, is able to see that this thing is supposed to run through 3 weeks and that is the total cost of it. When you go to the ground, it doesn't work. Go to land valuation. Please quote me on this thing. Go to land valuation. You want to stamp a simple document. You go, they will tell you that, listen, under normal circumstances, this thing will take 3 weeks. But if you are able to find a way and put weight on paper, we can get it for you 3 days. And if you don't do the 3-day deal, and you leave it for the 3 weeks, 3 months, you're not going to get it. So these things are locked up in all kinds of institutions and places where we are supposed to get things according to certain timelines. So what the minister said is just the tip of the iceberg. And so how we have to eliminate these things, what the minister has said is just one of it. How about putting cameras or people monitoring these things from remote locations? Seeing how things, I mean, technology has taken us to the place.
You're making a very cogent argument, but unfortunately, the line is still not helping us. You're making fantastic submission, but I don't know. Maybe your internet does not want to permit you this morning. But let's try again. So you said what the minister has done or has said is only a tip of the iceberg, and even at the Lands Commission or the land valuation you mentioned. They do that to you as a lawyer yourself, right? We'll try and raise lawyer Kweku Pinto so we can. But I also have Mr. Vitus Azim on the telephone with us here. He's an anti-graft campaigner. Mr. Azim, good morning. Hello, Mr. Azim.
Yeah, good morning.
Great to have you. Great to have you join us here on the show. Now, what's your take on what the minister did yesterday at the passport office?
Well, I think that sometimes we do things without looking at the implications. You don't just transfer people verbally. Yes, she's frustrated about what is happening, but then there are procedures for dealing with employees. But that may not even solve the problem. You can move those people away and bring angels from heaven. If you don't put certain measures in place, they will do the same thing. And it is sad because it's not like our people don't know what to do or they don't want to do it. Look, as far back as 1997, when they were changing the passports, I was in the U.S. I just mailed my passport to the DC, the embassy in DC. And within 2 to 3 months, I got a replacement passport. Then I came one day to Accra Passport Office to change my passport that expired. When I entered, the lady, small girl, told me, "Oh, go and come back in the afternoon. We'll take your biometrics. We are busy." And I said, "Look, this is just a renewal. Why should I have to go and come back? In Accra, you don't drive around because of traffic." She said, "Well, they are busy." I left her, went up to one of the same director's office. He took my passport, gave me 2 days to come back and take the new passport. People can do the work. They don't want to do it because we've not put in place measures that will make them effective. So we need to set timelines for the staff. In a day, if you can process, you have to process a certain number of passports. If you're not able to do that, then you lose your job or you get some form of sanction. We need effective monitoring and supervision, and we need sanctions in place if this thing has to work.
Okay.
They have an express passport system. You go and pay at the bank, and yet the express, even after 3 months, you don't hear from them at all. You keep going and they keep talking up and down because somebody is benefiting from it. Then you have to scatter the people around the passport office. If you have nothing doing in the passport office, don't come and stay around there because they are the people that are making those arrangements. Even those who pretend to be selling around there. One time a woman confronted me, "Oh, I'm not coming for a passport. Give her 2,000, she'll get it for me." I left her and went away. So those around are also collaborating with people inside the house. And the leadership, the management must sit up and identify those behind these things and take action against them. Otherwise, the situation will change.
So the solution is not just digitalizing the processes to say, let's do it online. That's not it.
No, it's not enough.
Okay.
It's a step in the right direction, but it's not enough because there are people who are still behind the process. Even manipulating the system, always saying the system is down. You go to the office every day, the system is down. Even banks, a teller tells you the system that cannot get money. You have to get effective functioning of the system. If it means outsourcing the RCC aspect. Because you are using your own staff, they can connive with the rest of the staff to ensure that the system don't work.
Okay.
So first, if you are digitalizing, you must make sure that the systems work. And then you monitor and supervise what is happening to ensure that it happens. I mean, the right thing happens. And if that doesn't happen, you identify the culprits and sanction them.
Okay. So in making the system work, you've mentioned 2 things. We should ensure we give them a target for the day. As in a day, you should be able to process these number of passports or you lose your job. The other thing is also to outsource some of these functions, right? These are the 2 solutions you're giving.
Yeah, that's one. Those are 2, but not all. I'm talking about monitoring and supervising, identifying the culprits and sanctioning them.
So from where we are, that the minister says they've identified that some Goro boys are frustrating the system. How should we progress from where we are?
Well, the first thing, once you've identified them, even if you are not arresting them, you scatter them from the place. Even any people from coming around, if you are not submitting any passport. If they are not around, they cannot influence the system, or at least the influence will be minimized. But they are just hanging around there and greeting people and asking them, "Oh, need something." And because either you are in a rush, you need urgently, or you think that you don't know anybody there, you are tempted to say, "Okay, take and help me."
Okay.
But if you have a sitting arrangement for anybody that arrives to go in and sit down within a certain period, let's say 6 to 8 o'clock, anybody who arrives goes to sit down, and you make sure that you admit the number of people you can attend to in a day. Then you're reducing the stress on the applicants as well as on and ensuring that the right thing is done.
Okay. All right. Let me bring in someone who has become known as the face of foreign affairs in Parliament. He's a ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Grateful for joining us, sir. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen what the minister has done at the passport office. First, your reaction on it.
Hi, good morning, son, and good morning to all the distinguished viewers of Joy. I must say that the minister has carried out what you will call an emotive ministerial reaction, which to some extent you will say that looking at the circumstances, you cannot really fault her, except that it raises a number of issues. There is a director at the passport office, a whole director. They did have to take their minister to descend from her ministry and to engage in that open outburst, quite, emotional, and for the minister to then be dismissing people on site and all of that. It tells you that there is something fundamentally wrong. The leadership at the passport office falls short of the leadership requirements that you will expect to see for such a sensitive position. And this morning, the director of the passport office and all those in management must be answering questions why it had to take the minister to descend on the passport office and engage in that open intervention and almost an altercation, if you like. Then I must also state that there is a challenge with the minister's approach in how she dismissed people on site. Yes, we all want to see tough leadership, decisive leadership, and that's why I am restraining myself in not, if you like, criticizing or condemning the minister, because when you have people you have put in charge not doing their work, that's what it will come to. And perhaps the minister should have taken notice that certain directors were not doing their work properly and could have reshuffled them or reassigned them elsewhere. But the other challenge I was coming to relates to the sweeping sanctions or dismissals. If care is not taken, innocent people could be caught in the fray. So I would still urge that it will be necessary for a disciplinary committee to still carry out some independent investigations into the role of those the minister met. Are we sure that all of them are involved in all of these underhand dealings, the bribery, the corruption, all the untoward conduct that the minister is angry about? Are we really sure that is everybody on site she met who is involved? Is it not possible that some innocent people may have been caught up in the crossfire? So I would still want a certain due process to be carried out so that those who are guilty, yes, let them fall on their own sword. But those who are innocent should be allowed. It will not be fair. It will not be just to punish people because of the sins of others when they are not partakers. They have not been part of the mess. Then finally, I must say that more fundamentally, what has led to this is a certain backlog. Our committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee, has been meeting the Passport Office and the Ministry on this matter because we have received numerous petitions about the backlog. People who have applied more than a year ago, more than 2 years ago, and they have not received their passport. What they told us was that the vendor had some supply chain difficulties because of COVID and all of that. But they presented to us a roadmap. We demanded a roadmap for the backlog to be cleared. It does appear that the backlog has not been cleared, and that is what is leading to people then trying to take advantage of the fact that people are frustrated. There are so many people in the queue. Some want to come ahead of the queue. They don't want to join the queue to wait for a long time. And that is what people in the system, together with their agents, you may call them Goro boys or whatever, that's what they are exploiting. So to address this matter once and for all, you need to clear the backlog. I think the last time we met them, it was about 11,000. We need to clear all of that backlog and revert to the full automated system where the human discretion is eliminated. We don't have any human interface. So I look at you, if I like you, if I don't like you, then you either come in early or you are coming later. No. Let's clear the backlog and then allow the automated system to work so that things are done based on what the computerized system says should be the approach.
Okay.
I think that is how to resolve this matter moving forward.
Now, this is not the first time this minister is showing anger at how things are done at the passport office. In 2018, there's a story, and it reads that the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Mr. Shirley Ayeko-Botwe, recently made an unannounced trip to the passport office in Accra to see things for herself. She was taken through the processes of acquiring passports, but she seemed unhappy with what she saw, especially when she spoke to this disgruntled passport applicant who had been waiting for months for their passports. She therefore made her intention to shake up the outfit and put right what was going wrong. This is 2018, and we're in 2023, 5 years down the line, and it looks like we are still not able to remove some of these impediments. So, are we really going to see these kind of changes anytime soon? Where do we begin from? How do we do it?
So, to be honest with you, I would say that let us start from leadership. I take the view that the time has come for the minister to reassess the people who are sent there to manage the passport office. Because, you see, that is her call, and that's an agency under her. So if you have a situation where every now and then you have to descend, you have to go on a surprise visit, and anytime you arrive, you don't like what you see and all of that. What does that say about the people the minister puts in charge of the passport office? Clearly, there is something wrong. So, it is time for the minister to carry out an honest reassessment of the people who are deployed to manage the passport office. They may be doing their best, but their best is clearly not enough. And they have questions to answer. Because, you see, this is a knee-jerk approach. I mean, where systems work, in jurisdictions where, you know, the system really works, people do what they must do, and they know that there will be sanctions if they don't get the job done. They won't earn their salaries.
Okay.
It doesn't take superiors to have to pay a surprise visit, and then that's when there is helter-skelter, and probably things begin to feel right for a few days, a few weeks, and then we revert to the old terrible ways of doing things. So my candid advice, and that will be the advice from our committee, will be that the minister must reassess the people who are asked to handle the passport office. And you see, when people are appointed, they should be given clear KPIs. Do they really understand their role? Do they have a mandate? Do they have targets that they must meet? And what happens when they fail to meet those KPIs, when they fail to meet those targets? Those are the things that must be done. That's a more sustainable approach. This business of ministers every now and then parachuting themselves in to the passport office and screaming horse and dismissing people on site, and then we are back to square one in a few weeks. That's not a sustainable approach, if you ask me.
All right, I'll let you off here, but just before you go, will your committee take any action on this?
Yes, certainly we have been looking into this matter, as I told you earlier. We agreed on a roadmap. We asked them to go clear the backlog. So we already have some scheduled meetings coming up to see to what extent they have cleared the backlog. But we are going to certainly add this latest development, particularly with the general dismissals and all of that. We want to be sure that those who have been dismissed deserve to be dismissed. No innocent person has been caught in the fray. But more importantly, we want the systems to work. We want a more sustainable, permanent resolution where the right people are appointed, they are given clear KPIs, and that they meet those targets. So certainly, the Foreign Affairs Committee will be taking an interest in this matter. We have a meeting later today, and I'm surely going to raise this issue.
Sami Akpenamao. Great.
No.
Sami Okwejeto Ablakwa there, he's ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. Well, so that's it. Let's move on to our next issue about the conduct of public officers and how the issues have been coming up in recent times as a result of one of the most engaging development in this country this year. That's the Cecilia Abena Dapa missing cash case. Now, that saga has brought questions, and people have been asking about the conduct of public officials. A draft bill that seeks to regulate the conduct of these officials, we understand, is at Cabinet for consideration. But how will the existence of a code of ethics ensure good conduct from public officials? Let's zoom into that discussion. I still have with me Dr. John Osai Kwapon, CDD Ghana Fellow, Mr. Vitus Azim, he's an anti-graft campaigner, long-standing one. Mr. Kweku Paintel is a legal practitioner. Well, Doc, let me start with you on this code of conduct that we're expecting it to come out. I understand that we already have the Conduct of Public Officers Bill 2013. What is the status of that, and why do we need a new one, which we understand is at the cabinet level?
So from what I understand in terms of, I think something the Attorney General said that it needs strengthening, right? That you need something in place that have a much stronger bite that allows you to get the kind of behavior from public officials that you hope for, which is what I think is driving, the new draft bill that is making its way through the process. But for me, the bigger question is not how many rules we put in place or how many new rules we put in place. For me, the bigger question is always how ready are we to enforce the rules that we put in place? Because if the rules we put in place are not enforced, then you can write as many new rules as you want. You can make them stronger, you can make them tougher, you can put a more stronger sanctions regime in place, stiffer punishments, etc., etc. And I'm not saying those things don't help. Those things are necessary, but they are not sufficient if, when situations arise, those rules would not be applied, those sanctions would not be applied, or they would not be enforced. So that, for me, is where sometimes our good intentions behind writing rules falls apart, which is the will and the determination to strictly enforce them without fear or fail.
So the issue is not about, you know, the sort of laws that we have, but about enforcement. So if we have to come out with anything like that, any bill of that sort, what should be the defining characteristics in this bill such that you and I can be confident that if well enforced, it could help us achieve our aim?
Right. So, I mean, in something like that, it's you have to look out for the mechanisms you put in place to structure the behavior that you want in public officials. So I'll use myself as an example. I work at a public university. Every year, I'm required to file an ethics disclosure statement. And in that statement, I have to report, even though I've already filed my taxes with the IRS, I have to report all my sources of income. I have to report any investments that I have for myself, any investments that I have on behalf, of my children. If I've gone to work anywhere else, even work that I do on a voluntary basis. For example, I'm a fellow with CDD Ghana. I have to report all of that. So those are the rules in place. But there are also mechanisms that ensure that those rules are followed. So every year before the due date comes around, I get an email from the legal counsel's office of my university to say, this thing is due and you have to complete it. And if you are unable to complete it on the due date, you have to file for an extension with the ethics office of the New York State, which is the state in which I live. You would also get reminders from the states that this thing is due. Once you file it, you do get an acknowledgement from the state that it's been done. And if it is reviewed. So if there are issues that are not clear, if there are questions that are not clear, you can expect that you would get a follow-up that says, can you clarify your answer in point 1, or can you clarify your answer in point 2, right? So those kinds of mechanisms, gives you that confidence that it's not just something on paper that says you have to do it, but there are also others who are involved in the process of monitoring it and ensuring that 1, you have completed it, that 2, the system is counting on the fact that you have completed it honestly to the best of your ability. But there is also a verification process that allows the enforcement officers at the back end of the process to validate whatever it is that you have reported. And so when you put a code of conduct in place, which this draft bill is seeking to do, you also want to make sure that it has the kinds of processes and mechanisms that ensures that 1, the public officials who are required to report whatever it is that they have to report, for example, will do it on time. And there's someone who ensures that they do. And if they don't, there is a penalty for that. If I don't, I can get, for example, in my case, I can get an extension for filing. Right? But even that, I have to make a case for why I need an extension for filing that statement. And if I refuse to file it, there are sanctions, including losing my job that I can face. So those are some of the things that you can put in place to give a code of conduct and ethics bill some bite.
And in your jurisdiction, is this something that, I mean, the information you've provided to the authorities is available to the public that they can access when the need arises?
Yes, when the need arises. So everything from my role, my officer's budget, my salary, all of those things are public information that the public can access, and all of it is done so that if I'm living a certain lifestyle that doesn't necessarily match my
income,
my salary and benefits as a public officer or someone who is associated with a public institution, questions can be raised, and I can be called upon to explain why, as an officer with a public university, I'm earning X amount, and yet my lifestyle seems to suggest that, or my lifestyle doesn't quote unquote match what my salary seems to suggest. And sometimes there could be legitimate reasons for that, but these are the things that ensure that those of us who work, in the public sector, do not create a certain impression in the minds of citizens that we are engaged in unethical behavior.
Must it be a similar arrangement if we are to do it in Ghana? I'm asking this because our declaration of assets as it stands now is treated as confidential. So if I declare that I have so and so properties, it will not be giving out to the public. It's only held by the Auditor General and his mandated officers, but not the general public. That's why I'm asking whether this should be a practice that Ghana should look at.
Yeah, every country has to look at its country context when it is developing these things. But I honestly believe that a practice like that helps. And it helps the public servants themselves. I don't think we have gotten to that point where public servants recognize that some of these rules are designed to protect them. Protect them in the sense that they are always under a veil of suspicion. They are always viewed as, guilty until you prove your innocence, things like that. And so when you shine a light on the things that you are able to shine a light on, that it protects you, the public servant, it protects you from getting into trouble. If you look at our asset declaration, for example, even if I understand what happens, even the Auditor General to whom the asset declaration is filed cannot even take a look at it, right? So can you imagine, I can give you an envelope in which I claim that I have declared my assets, and for all you know, it could even be an empty sheet. But there has to be some reasonable amount of verification in the process, right? That you can designate individuals who can at least look at that asset declaration, verify that you have truthfully reported everything. And then on a year-to-year basis, be able to do some comparisons to see what has significantly changed. Like I said, in my case, if I report a particular income in a given year, and the following year I file my ethics disclosure and my income has doubled or tripled, it would definitely raise a red flag. There could definitely be legitimate reasons why my income has doubled or tripled, but I would have to explain that when a red flag is triggered. And all of those things, for me, again, it's designed to protect you, the public official. It helps you not get into trouble. It helps you not, continue to live under this veil of suspicion, right? Because everybody sort of has this perception that, people in the public sector are in there not to serve, or not to offer a public good or serve the public, but are in there for themselves. And all of those things, for me, are designed to really help protect the system and protect those who work in the system. Okay.
Let me bring in Mr. Vitus Azim now. Mr. Azim, you've been around for a very long time. All of these issues are things that you've contributed to over the years. What has been our challenge? Why we are not able to really have that, ethics of conduct for public officers, and to even have an effective asset declaration regime?
It was ridiculous. It's ridiculous to say that they are going to IMF to ask for support to develop a code of conduct there. Because this was done by the late Justice Clark. This has been worked on for a very long time. SHRAG has produced guidelines for conduct of public officers, and civil society has put these things together. Parliament has produced one. President Mahama launched one for his political appointees. And for us, we say today that we are going to the IMF to look for money to develop and the code of conduct law. I find it very, very ridiculous. We do not, our leaders do not want the code of conduct law because they know what it will mean to them. They do not want to comply with the code of conduct. Even the asset valuation law that has now, it has now been incorporated into the code of conduct bill.
Yeah.
We went with parliamentarians to go in 2008 to approve, to discuss and get approved the regulations. There were three key issues. One, inclusion of spouse and children of minor age. Two, verification. And three, publication. All these, the parliamentarians say no, they won't do that. That their spouses and children are not public officers and they should not be included in the asset declaration law. That the Constitution doesn't provide for verification and publication. So the three are overboard. And the Auditor General at the time also said that there was no point getting the regulation because, the parliamentarians did not want it passed. And so that asset declaration law is just in the shelf, gathering that. You put a blank sheet of paper in your envelope and give the asset declaration. He issues you the receipt, and that ends it. So we have the law already in draft. A very good law drafted by a renowned justice of the Supreme Court before. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. We do not need new money to develop a code of conduct bill. We just need to bring it before Parliament, with Parliament cabinet approval. Few revisions, and it can be passed. But the political will is not there. People don't want to declare their assets because they want to hide their assets. And I think for me, that's very unfortunate because if you're a public officer, there's no reason why you should want to hide certain aspects of their life. Of course, there are private things that you should hide, but not certain things, your behavior in the public domain. And so it's just inertia, lack of public interest, and political will to get the right thing done.
If that's the case, then it looks almost likely that we might never get that, because if the people who are mandated with the authority to get this done for us are not ready to commit to it, then we better take it that we're not going to have it at all. What must change? What must we do to ensure that that is done?
We are not going to have it now because next year the parliamentarians are going to be busy with their campaigns, and at the end of the election, the bill will be thrown back and it has to go through the same process again. This was the same thing that happened to the Right Information Bill. It will go to Parliament before they can even debate it. The time comes for new elections, and then it's thrown away. This is what has happened to this bill. This bill has already been put before Parliament before. So why are we talking about a new bill? It's because they don't want to do the right thing. So we are not likely to have it, at least not this time, because 2024 is not far away. Next year's campaign, parliamentarians are going to be busy doing their campaigns. They are not going to have time. Very soon the budget will be presented to Parliament again. They'll take a few days to just look at it and break up for Christmas. So I think that we even need a new breed, a new crop of parliamentarians if we want certain basic important laws passed in this country for us. Otherwise, we'll just do the same thing.
So this bill you're talking about, that it's already before Parliament, is it a Conduct of Public Officers Bill 2013? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
That's
10 years old.
Yes.
10 years old. Do you need money to go and revise it to send it back to Parliament? A 10-year-old bill. We cannot get it passed. whatever revisions are required, do we have lawyers at the Attorney General's office? Do we need to look for money to get the bill through again? When we had engaged somebody to work on it. And it now incorporates the asset declaration provision into it. And that's what the most of them fear. Issues like, oh, if I declare my assets publicly, armed robbers will come after me. It is not the assets declared that armed robbers will come after you. They see you driving certain cars. They see you going to certain hotels to stay and to eat. They see the weddings to go and the presentations you make. They know that what you are capable of doing. But are you the most endangered species in town? You have bodyguards. Your security following, some of them are using armed officers guiding them. What threats are they afraid of?
All right. Let me bring in Lawyer Kweku Pentil here. Lawyer, what should be the key element in such a bill, if indeed we are to get one? Mr. Azim tells us that the 2013 one is 10-year-old. It has not been passed. It's still in Parliament. We say we're going to draft a new one. For you and your experience in law, what should be the key element of such a bill or such a law?
Transparency, in one word. And by that, what I mean is that whatever our public officers, our judges, all those who we pay, I'm talking about the taxpayers' money go into their well-being and funding. The information must be available to us as taxpayers. It's as very simple as that. Because what's the use of filling forms which will never be verified by anybody, because it's the public who are the witnesses to these people whom we live with in our communities. And obviously, for anybody to be able to tell whether anybody is living in accordance with rules, regulations, standards that we have provided for, it must be the jury. The jury is the members of your own community. I mean, it can't be anybody else. But you know, all the previous speakers, I listened very carefully to all of them. It's the same frustrating point, which is it requires executive action. It's about somebody talking about the old lady becomes uncomfortable when you begin to talk about bones or dry bones. So that's what our politicians have become. And it's my view of the matter that if it gets to a point, one day I hope, but I'm not frustrated to the point of giving up or giving up hope. One day, this law will come into being. It's just a question of time. But for civil society organizations to keep up the talk, when the debate in this country becomes policy-based, in other words, issue-based, that's what I mean, issues-based, then regardless of political parties that we belong to, regardless of whom we support and whom we don't support, we'll come to appreciate that Ghana will always be Ghana. And that the people that sometimes we even support and we follow and so forth and so on, they are not worth the hero worship that we give to them, because we could even do better, but if we go into their shoes. But then let me round up, let me make this point. You know, I've had the benefit and the opportunity of, being privy to certain records, which are official records anyway. I'm talking about going back after Nkrumah's overthrow. As I made this point on your show, some weeks back, the Anijage Access Commission, then the Apalu, one of them is Access Commission, one of them was a public inquiry. When Nkrumah was overthrown and all his ministers were dragged before the Access Commission, and the other one was a kind of public findings regarding their properties and so forth and so on. I happen to know for a fact that Kwame Nkrumah's economic advisor was called Dr. Emmanuel Ayekumi. And I want you to cast your mind back to the hostility and the ferociousness of the everything against Nkrumah and his ministers after his overthrow. This man went through everything, and at the end of the day, he was adjudged to have acquired all his assets legitimately. And if you go and see the list of properties that this man acquired at that time, over 13 properties, or so many cars, Pontiac, call them.
luxurious properties. And indeed was commended by the commission for the meticulous way and manner that he kept records and so forth and so on. You know, so the real point about what the lecturer was saying, which I understood perfectly, is that when I could have gone through order, he was actually commended. But you know, now what really happens is that almost every politician has attacked, and with due respect and without really casting slaves. You know, the popular talk is about the politicians with sharp teeth. Because they tell me it was Atamis who for the first time brought in ministers who were very, very young. We'll give Atamis that credit. But these young ministers, when they came in, we saw them. And after a while, we now see them, both in size, physically, and so forth and so on. And people cast all kinds of insinuations. And I don't think it is fair to them that before they are judged, people believe that they are corrupt, or people believe, you know, it's a kind of perception. And therefore, if everybody, we all consider the issues for what they are, our politicians will know that it is in their supreme interest that they have the opportunity to be assessed by their own peers, by the people who, within and among whom they live. It's in their own interest. And all public officers, it's in their own interest. Because I use Dr. Ayakumi's example to illustrate the point that it's not every politician who is indeed corrupt. It's not so. Some work really hard. But unless we are seeing how really hard that you work, what is it that makes you work, and not even work hard? What is it that makes you have all those properties that we think and we attribute to corruption? So this is the real issue that we have in this country. And of course, our politicians, I'm not too sure that they care too much. They understand the law as we say it. As for the amendment, what we try and do, even before the law is passed, obviously, changing circumstances of the times requires that, even as the law, as somebody said, because Azim said, the law is 10-year-old, yes. But what it means is that changes have taken place all over the place, and there are gaps to be filled. And
no, even this bill itself has not been passed. It's all, in there being considered. That's why he's saying that 10 years a bill has been in Parliament. What else do we have to do we need to draft a new bill, because we have one already there?
While the bill was lying, development and issues, people who studied the bill noticed that the certain provisions were, as it was said of the 1946 Ben's Constitution, was a still bet. In other words, they have been outlived by actualities, things that were going on, required that those provisions even were changed to reflect a much more current trend and so forth. So maybe that's the way I want to put it. So I don't use the word amendment to mean that there's a law in being which was being amended. I'm talking about changes within the law even before it comes out. But please, all of these all these reasons are no good reasons why the law has not been passed. And I'm telling you that since elections is looking us in the face, I'm hoping and wishing that those who do these political debates and moderations and so forth and so on will make it a point to put it to every politician and exact a promise from every politician concerning the next elections to give a direct response to his attitude towards that bill, and when the next parliament possibly convenes, what he intends to do to ensure that that law comes into being. That explains why I said I don't find myself so hopeless, or I don't find myself so distraught about what's going on. It is part of the Ghanaian way of doing things. We never want to know the truth. We don't care what people say, and because we know how to ride a storm. But one day, the law will catch up with all of us, and maybe when we do it well, it's not even about public officers only. It's not only about them. It's about the people who live in our communities. People are doing all kinds of things. So that one day, if we see a Galamsey kingpin has built this mansion or whatever, then this lifestyle audit may come in. And if you go all that money without having passed it through the right channels and so forth and so on, then you will have something to answer for. It will help all of us as Ghanaians.
But he won't come under the public officers bill.
He will not be. That's why I say it's not only about the public officers that we must concern ourselves with. That's the hypocrisy we have in Ghana. I'll put it this way. Public officers first, because they are the people who feed on us. They are the people who feed on us. They are the people who put money into their pocket. all their well-being. They travel business class, first class, all of those kind of things. Some of them, when they leave public service, they can't even afford a trotro fare. And while they are feeding at our expense, they also don't want us to. They don't want to account to us of what they do with our money. And that's the bare truth. I mean, no matter how anybody is angered, they should know that we feed them. They should know that the uniform they have at their back, we place the uniform there. That's the difference between them and us. So, but I'm saying that working towards a just and equal society, let it not only be public offices, though that's the issue we are now discussing. But I'm talking about looking into the future. That's the kind of environment that I'm hoping and expecting. Maybe not in our lifetime, maybe, who knows, maybe, but I'm hoping that one day this matter will no longer be a debate.
Dr. Kwapo, I mean, we learn from the best. In other jurisdictions, what could happen or what will be happening now for us to have such a code of conduct for public officers?
Usually it's issues that come up, right? Maybe incidents that you never anticipated, that in the course of work you stumble upon. It comes up, and then it forces a rethinking of the rules, practices, procedures, mechanisms in place. That may say to you, okay, we need to make some adjustments, or we need to broaden, the scope of activities that this covers. I'll give you a clear example. So at my institution, for example, last year, as we got closer to Christmas, the legal counsel had to clarify what gifts were acceptable, because sometimes officers have these small gift exchanges called Secret Santa. And there were issues about what is considered an appropriate gift to, a colleague, a co-worker, someone who reports to you. And so the legal counsel had to clarify that and say, all right, if you want to give a gift, it can't be any more than $15 maximum. And if it's a gift of food, it has to be presented in such a way that everybody within the office, you have to put it in a public space so everybody can eat some. Okay. So there's some of these things that sometimes triggers, the need to look at the rules in place and whether either, for example, they need clarification or they need tweaking, or you need to add, a few more rules so that, again, you protect yourself, you protect the institution.
But Ms. Azim, from what Doc has said, and from you laying the background, the foundation that it's been such a long time since we've had a certain bill in Parliament, does it seem to suggest that the politicians, I mean, in quote, those who are clothed with the authority to ensure that we get certain laws, are not really, they don't care whether or not we have a law that would make sure that the right things are done within their space and in the space of the public office?
They don't care. They don't want such laws in place. Laws that seek to protect their behavior. They do not want to have those laws in place. They don't think that, they feel like it will affect them adversely. Just look at the Right Information Bill. It took us how long to get it passed? Yeah. After several advocates, we met various committees of parliament and the different parliamentary sessions before it was finally passed. Transparency and accountability are things that politicians do not want, because they think that you are going to expose them if they do the wrong thing, and probably use it to sort of control their behavior. But if you come genuinely to serve, you should not be afraid of that. If you don't have ill intention of looting the system, you should be able to allow these things to go through. Especially the leadership. We cannot say that every politician behaves in the same way. So how about the leaders? You are chosen as a leader. You can bring pressure to bear on your membership to do certain things. But this doesn't seem to happen. Look, when we're doing the Right Information Bill, we met certain committees They will assure us in the meeting or that it will be fine. But when you go out, they tell you that, oh, that bill will be passed. They say it openly to friends that that bill will not be passed until just recently that the bill got passed. So it is that commitment and the fear of the unknown. What is civil society and the citizens going to use this law for? Will it be used to harm us? And that is the main problem I see.
Mm. So if they don't want it, what should then be, or who should become our savior? Because the people who are supposed to do it now, as you say, they don't want it. Do we have to throw our hands in the air, or there is something we can do?
Sometimes the international community may come in, donors may come in. Now that we are having the public officer, we are having an IMF program, it is possible that the IMF and the other donors may put pressure on the government to have that bill passed, especially with the regulations surrounding the monies that were found in somebody's house. And that's why, even though I say it's ridiculous, I'm not surprised that the government is saying it's going to IMF to look for money to get that bill passed. So there's probably outside pressure, and sometimes, even though we don't like conditionality, sometimes we may have to find solace in such conditionalities to get our leaders to work. So I think that's the only way out of this situation. It has been there for long, tried to do its guidelines, and yet nothing's happening.
Pinto, what should we do?
We said that it took how many years for the Right to Information Act to come into being? It faced similar resistance as this act is also facing. But they say the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. At the end of the day, the laws come into being not because the politicians wish it, but because at the end of the day, the chorus becomes so loud that to keep ignoring it becomes another thing altogether. I would think very shameful if we really have to wait for these Bretton Woods institutions to begin to use it as a conditionality. But quite naturally, some of these things we bring it onto ourselves. And if that should be so, we will thank God for it. At the end of the day, if it comes into being, however it comes into being, we will be grateful to God for what comes into being and makes our public officers accountable. And I agree with the previous speaker that what is currently going on, even though Our Lady has not been pronounced guilty yet, but it gives an idea of how by miraculous circumstances our politicians come by all kinds of funds, and at the end of the day, it puts all of us into this furore and all the drama that we are going through. But we hope that one day this law will come into being. I mean, the politicians will bow to popular pressure, and that's why I'm saying that let's make it an issue. Civil society organizations, let's bring the issue to the very top of the agenda. All the journalists, you are one of them. You are one. You are speaking to us. You are one of them. You're going to engage politicians very soon. Put that question pointedly to them and ask them in their opinion, what is it that they do not want to assent or consent to the law coming into being, the bill becoming a law. Let's get it, extract it from our parliamentarians. You saw what happened in Parliament the last time that we were talking about this anti-gay law. The Speaker put it directly to the whole House. Let anyone, if there any man or woman here who is against what we are doing, and there was silence, I believe that if a similar question finds its way on the floor of Parliament, I'm not too sure that we're going to get one parliamentarian to speak against it or to say that it's opposed to the law being. But how the issue comes to the floor of Parliament is what we are all talking about. I believe that with the chorus going up into a crescendo, one day the politicians themselves cannot help it. Thank you very much.
Grateful. Dr. Kwapo, let me end with you with your suggestion on the way forward from here.
I think, I hope that the bill would not keep languishing. As I keep saying, for me, I see these rules as designed to protect the public officer to help him or her not to get into trouble, to take away any veil of suspicion that they regularly and consistently work under. But I don't think they do recognize that. They see these things. My suspicion is that they see some of these reporting things as an intrusion in their private spaces. And so I think until such time that we get to a point where we can sensitize them to realize that it inures to their own benefit, then I think we can make some good progress. Because, I mean, for a bill to stall that long tells me that the public servants are not sure whether this thing is supposed to hurt, protect them or harm them. Probably they are thinking of it as this won't help us. But when they start thinking of it as this is for our own benefit, we can make some progress and move this forward.
Doc, I'm grateful. And in regards to the young ladies who disturb you, those ones who come for them.
I will do that.
Then, so I'm grateful to you, Lawyer Kweku Painter. Mr. Vitus Azim is an anti-graft campaigner. I'm grateful to all of you gentlemen for joining us. This is still the AM show. We'll take a quick break. We'll return with more. Stay with us. All right, so welcome back to the AM show. Let's take you to the Northeast and talk about what has been happening there. You know that over the past few days we've been reporting about a torrential rainfall that caused a lot of havoc in that part of the country. A main bridge even was destroyed. The road was also destroyed. As you are watching on the screens now, farmlands have been taken over by water. It's difficult for people in that part of the country to really go about their daily activities like they used to because of the impact of this flooding situation. Now, the minister for that region, Yidana Zakaria, has been touring these situations. I've been touring these places to assess the extent of damage, and he joins us on the line. We would also be joined by our Northeast regional correspondent. He would also be joining us. He is also with us here. And we also have the NADMO director joining us as well. Good morning to you. Grateful that you could join us.
Yeah, good morning to you and to your cherished listeners.
Let me start with you, Mr. Zakaria. You have been to these places. What did you see?
Thank you for the question. What is left behind is destruction. What is left behind is large swaths of farmland washed away, crops submerging in water, several homes have been destroyed, and portions of our roads have been washed away. That is what has been left behind, and it gives a very disturbing situation.
Okay. So Honorable, we understand that since the Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways came in, you started some remedial works, but that is not the entire solution. What have you planned to do to bring an end to this? Because the dam has broken its banks. It needs to be reconstructed and to ensure that we don't experience what we're experiencing. What is the plan?
Ever since these issues came to the fore, wherever we are, we go with our engineer. And we even invited the Ghana Engaging Development Authority zonal official for the northern sector. He came and visited some of the dams He has assured us he's putting together his report, because the dams are constructed along the road, and that, according to him, can be a potential danger, and they will need to do some re-engineering. The roads, we move along with the regional directors, urban roads, highways, and feeder roads. They see the situation on the ground, and you listen to them, they tell you that they would need to do some re-engineering work. Was the culverts and bridges that were constructed some time ago do not seem now to be able to carry the huge volumes of water. And so some re-engineering has to be done if we have to construct the broken bridges and culverts. And in some areas they said they need to raise the height of the road some level, so that can help in redirecting water to pass through the bridges and culverts. So that is the engineering bit of it. The houses that have been flooded and collapsed, if you observe critically, all those houses are on low-lying areas. So the NADO officials are advising people whose homes have been destroyed not again to build on such low-lying areas. They should move to higher ground. And we will stand on that and speak with people to understand that if they come back to the same low-lying areas, next time they are raised, the same fate will befall them. So in that area of rebuilding, we think that it will be a no-no for anybody who wants to come back and build on those low-lying areas. What we cannot do is the farmland, because, you know, land is scarce. Where people farm, if it is a low-lying area, we don't have the option to say that we will move you to a higher ground. Those of them who farm rice, and you know, the valleys are quite rich, they are fertile, so they do early cropping. That has been washed away. So, seriously speaking, that is an area we all need to brainstorm. Because if you tell them not to farm there, the question is, where else do they have to go and farm? So that one, I think, we need it to fix. But those issues that we can deal with, we are dealing with them. Government support has come in, but you know, government cannot do all for us. So I have always been on my knees using your medium to call on corporate Ghana and individuals who can come to our aid within and outside this country to come to this young region that is facing very serious challenges now. I think that is what I have to say.
What kind of support has government brought in? You spoke about it, but we don't know the details.
You know, when portions of roads were washed away, initial response from government, very swift, was to fix the roads to make them motorable. And we are very thankful for that. So some of the areas that were cut off have been fixed and people can now move. But there are still areas that have to be worked on. And to be honest with you, when I was at Bintiri yesterday, Bintiri to Beduri Road cannot be fixed anytime soon. If you see the volumes of water, no contractor can redirect the water to be able to do any meaningful work to reconnect the communities there. That may take some months until the water recedes. So the engineers were there and we couldn't see this. We had to come back. So for those areas, it's like we may have to wait for some 2 to 3 months for the water to recede so that there can be access. Well, no contractor will risk his men and equipment to go to those areas. Same is the story in some parts of the Tripoli district. The DCE and the MP have tried severally to reach out to some areas, and they have not been able to. And the MP is still at home, Honorable Razak. The DCE is at home. Myself, I wanted to go there today. We are even thinking of how to get access. Because I wanted to drive through the Uyo district to the place, but that appears not to be possible.
Possible. But is the Palugu Dam close to you? The proposed Palugu Dam, is it close to you?
Oh, Palugu Dam, more or less, is in the northeast region.
Okay.
But for the river, it's only when they overflow the bank that communities around will be inundated with water. But the several years of education by your media and others, people have now come to understand that they cannot every year go through the same experience. So if you get to hear from people, it's only farmlands that have been submerged. The communities themselves are not in those low-lying areas. So in that regard, our biggest worry is the farms that have been flooded. But for human life, thanks be to our Maker, I think that they have recorded 2 deaths. That's unfortunate.
Okay.
But if it were in the past, it would have been more than that.
Okay, so 2 people have died?
So far, yes. One died on his way from Geturi to Bintiri. He was caught in the rain, and he didn't know that a crater had actually been created on the road. So he fell into it. Unfortunately, that was the end of his life. A community called Gagini, one little boy, children in water, whatever happened, when the parents were busy trying to salvage what they could, this child, out of nowhere, decided to swim in the water, and that also was the end of his life. So these 2, unfortunately, we've lost them. A third person got injured, and he's still going through treatment at the Bolgatanga Regional Hospital. And we are praying for him to recover.
So had the dam not broken its banks, this wouldn't have happened, right?
I wouldn't say so. Because the Bintiri area that I'm talking about and the Tripoli area, it's not about dam bursting, the bank.
Okay.
It is just about what we call floods everywhere. So it's not about dams, because many of those areas are low-lying. And so when it rains, the runoff is what has caused it. The dam issue is only the one that is at Vanish, which burst the bank and eroded the road and carried away the bridge. So that is it.
Okay.
Another looming threat is the dam in the regional capital, Malerbe. That one too, we have a close eye on it, and some steps have been taken through the intervention of His Excellency the Vice President to quickly maintain it in order that that one too does not suffer the fate of the burning dam. So let me say that, yes, the experience of flooding is not all attributed to dams bursting their banks. It's not exactly the case.
Okay.
The only case is the burning example. But for most parts of the East Mamprusi, the Uyo district, the Bumpungu Nakandiri, and the Tripoli district, it's just flooding. It's not as a result of dams bursting the bank.
Okay. Hold the line for me. Let me bring in the NADMO director for the Northeast region, Kweku Al-Hassan. Kweku, Mr. Al-Hassan, I'm grateful for joining us here. What is the extent of damage from all of these flooding situations in the region?
First of all, let me apologize to my minister for not updating him on the death toll. The death toll is 4, not 2. Because since yesterday we're having challenges with our network, so I wanted to give him the update, but it wasn't possible. So the West Mamprusi municipality, we have 2 of the deaths. The East Mamprusi, we have 1. Uyo Nanson, 1. So in all, the death toll is 4. Quite apart from that, I'm not sure there is anything new for me to add to what my boss, the regional minister, has said. Because I was part of the team that went around to do the assessment. As he has indicated, what has happened to us or what has left behind is just about distraction. But what I can also say is to also thank government and NADMO for responding swiftly to the plight of the victims in the region. The Director General listed some relief items to Wale, and then also promised that some were coming by road. The day before yesterday, we received some of the items. Yesterday, we received some other items too. So I'm yet to meet with the regional minister and other stakeholders for us to see how we can do to help these victims. But then in the Mentiri area, there was this community, Jimbali, that was completely pulled down as a result of the flood. So we collaborated with the Ghana Education Service and released a particular school for us. We went to house them there. And we also provided them with some relief items and other logistics. Today and tomorrow we'll be going back to them and to see how best support them. Like what my minister said, yes, the situation is not all that good, but government alone cannot handle the situation. We are appealing to other donor partners, churches and other religious organizations to also come out to support this victim.
Okay.
Restore them back to their normal status.
So what are the details of the dead? You said 4 people.
Yes.
Made up of who and who?
Them is as a result of drowning, but one of them, who is a child, it was a room that collapsed on her and then died. Yes.
Which part?
That's the Yunans on this street in a community called Sambusi.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's a building collapse, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other 3 are drowning.
Yes, drowning. Yes. Yes.
Are they? The minister said 1 person is a child. So apart from the child, are all the other 3 adults, or we've had more children?
No, the two are adults, but 2 are children.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. And so what sort of support are you giving to the people now as we speak?
Oh, we are giving them food items like rice, like oil, blankets, mattresses, buckets, and other cooking utensils. You know, their cooking utensils and most of their belongings have been washed away, and then they use clothing. So these are some of the things we are giving to the people for now.
I see some people's produce were also, drenched in water, and they tried relocating those ones.
Yes.
Some people have been dislodged from their homes.
Yes.
Have you found a place for these people to keep them safe for now?
Oh, like I said, over here, our people are such that when they are displaced and you try to provide them with a safe havens for them to go and stay there, sometimes some of them are not comfortable with that. They prefer going to live with their relatives. And when it happens like that, NADMO and other stakeholders, we don't have a problem with that. We only allow them to go and then stay with their relatives, and then whatever support that we have, we provide them. And those that agree with us to go and live in the safe havens, we take them to the safe havens and then make the necessary provisions for them to stay in there comfortably.
All right. So if someone decides to come in to offer support, what kind of support do you need?
Oh, the support can be in various forms. It could be food items, building materials, clothing, cooking utensils, even cash. It's also acceptable because their businesses and other businesses have been disrupted. So the support can be in that form.
Okay. All right then. Let's see how it will go. But are you picking report of the situation today as we speak? What's the latest on this matter, on this flooding situation?
Like my minister indicated to you, you see, some of the areas are not accessible, so you will not be able to get there. But we have the idea about what is happening there because the farmland, there are rooms, and then the road network. The movement is actually difficult for them. But like I said, we are on the ground trying to see how best we can help the situation within our own capacity.
But the places that you can access, is the water receding?
Yeah, not as much. because I just want us to take our time to do the proper thing, because we have been able to do assessment in 66 communities across the region.
Okay.
66 communities across the region. So we are still doing the assessment. It's ongoing. So as and when we are done, we will share the report with you.
All right. I pray that you are able to reach the hard-to-reach communities, because we don't know what's happening. I mean, you may be getting a report, but as to exactly what the extent, you may have to be there to see for yourself. So we pray that you're able to assess these communities early. But let me get back to Mr. Yidana Zakaria. So we're also picking, information that probably the military should be involved here, so that you can reach these hard-to-reach communities. Is that something that you are considering?
I think that for now, we will make attempts with NABLE and other state institutions that are involved in this to try to see the best we can do. When it comes to that point where we will leave the military, we will do that. I don't want to be an alarmist. I hope and pray that we overcome this one too. So that is what I can say for now. Because for that to happen, the Regional Security Council would have to look and take a decision based on the reports that we received from the District Security Committee. And I think that when we get to that point, we will surely communicate that.
Okay.
But for now, we pray and hope that the rain will slow down, and then if the flooding recedes, we can begin to pick up the pieces.
So we also know that after the rains, we need water for the farms. There are a lot of farms up there. Going forward, any idea about harvesting the rainwater so that it could be put to use after or during the dry season?
I think that would be a very good thing to do. Well, yesterday, that was the conversation I had with some of the engineers. They were asking the question, if we have these volumes of water destroying and just running into wherever it has to go, what happens in the dry season when people will need it to farm? So they were also looking at the possibility that in any attempt to fix the road, given that we have the envelope of resources, it would be very good for us to think about how we can just contain some of the water in future so that people can use it for dry season farming. So that conversation is quite an interesting one. But of course, it comes with money that has to be budgeted for. So I believe that the authorities, including my good friends and all that others in the media, that conversation is good for us all to engage in.
But as I watched the videos from the community where the bridge had been destroyed, from the layman's eye, I saw that the asphalt that was applied to the road was a very thin one. And of course, I'm sure you've seen that. Is this something you're looking into to see why the contractor did such a job?
I'm not in position to query the quality of work that has been delivered. But if you listen to the engineers, they tell us that the collapse of the bridge is not due to poor engineering or poor work by the contractor. It is just that no engineering work would have been able to withstand the pressure of the water that accounted for the sequencing. But I believe what you are referring to is the minimal bridge. The contractor did the work and applied the first coat of bitumen surface. He was supposed to do a second one, but that is after you have allowed some time for the first one to dry up and for them to observe where they would need to do to get it properly done. That is where you are referring to. So let me say that from the information that I have had, it was just the first coat of bitumen surface that was done. So if you visit the site, even before the rain, the contractor was on site trying to secure the approaches of the road adjoining the bridge. That work was still ongoing before all this happened. But thankfully, that bridge in particular has not been destroyed. So what they only need to do is to come back and fill with gravel, ram it up, and then apply the bitumen surface.
All right. We'll still be keeping tabs on you to find out what's happening, because it's quite a situation when you hear that some communities have been cut off and you cannot access them at all. So our hearts are with you. We pray that things normalize so that things will be okay for you. But just before, Nadmo, Mr. Lassan, before I let you go, what sort of advice would you give the people in those areas who maybe could be listening to us?
I know it is not easy for them. I understand the situation that they are going through, but I'm only appealing to them to continue to be patient with the government and the leadership as we try to roll out measures to help them overcome this problem.
Okay.
And then also we are still in the midst of the race. I'm calling on them to be on the alert, and also to not to play with the flood waters, because when we need them alive. So they should be on the alert and be very cautious about their own safety going forward.
Okay. All right. Grateful to you for joining us here. John Kweku Al-Hassan is the NADMO Director for the Northeast Region. Earlier, you had Yidana Zakaria. He is the Regional Minister for the Northeast Region. So if you just joined us, the flooding situation in that area has resulted in the death of 4 persons, 2 adults and 2 children. One in East Mampusi, 2 in West Mampusi, and 1 in Unyo. So that is the breakdown for you. Very, very unfortunate situation. We understand that from the videos we're watching and information we're gathering, lives and properties, have been affected badly, and all the support they can muster will be hugely important for them. So if you're watching us and you feel that you can't support them, kindly reach out to the people in the Northeast region. Water is life. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. You have the perfect sizes for all purposes: 330 ml and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. Our 19-liter jar bottles are ideal for homes and offices. All you must do now is drink Awake Purified drinking water wherever you go. Choose a bottle of Awake Purified drinking water today and get quality hydration. Awake Purified drinking water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you buy, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center, another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. For bulk purchase, please call 0262 351251. 0262 351251. This advert is FDA approved. This is still the AM show. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll be coming to you for your thought and experiences, especially from the passport acquisition point of view. So have you tried to acquire a passport? What sort of experience do you have? You'd have the opportunity to share it with us when we return from the break. Stay with us. We'll be back. So welcome back from the break. Let's wrap up in style. Now, you'd join us with your thought on the issues that we've spoken about, but we're putting a spotlight on your experiences from the passport office. The number to call us is 030-221-1691, 030-221-1691. But we have this on our Facebook page. We want to share with you some of the comments that some of our viewers are sharing with us. So we've put there that the Passport Office Foreign Affairs Minister sacks overstayed officers. How are some of you reacting to the story? Let's start from here. But even before I go on to your comment, let's say a happy birthday to you, Chairman of the National Labour Commission, Justice Kwabena Esuman Edu, retired. Today is your birthday. All the best to you, Justice. We wish you the very best of life. It's coming from Ofosu Asamoah, Executive Secretary, National Labour Commission. So, to the Chairman of the National Labour Commission, Justice Kwabena Esuman Edu, retired, a happy birthday coming from all of us here at Joy News. Well, Cape Coast Ogwa says apt. So they are a group in Cape Coast. They love what the minister did. Maban Anthony says, this is the first time I'm happy seeing a minister talking. God bless you, Madam Minister. Okay. Dora Abankwa Danso says, speaking up for what is right. The wrong things must cease. Proud slogan. Okay, so let me halt here and go on to the phone lines now. Do I have Frederick?
Hello.
Frederick, good morning to you, sir. Let's hear you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well, sir.
Okay. Thank you for the show. And then I think in Ghana here there are so many things going here in Ghana which is mind-boggling. But we are fine. You see, this passporting, you see, when you come to Kumasi and you go there at 6 a.m., you could see queue from 6 a.m. till they are closed. So what is the point? Can't centralize this thing. You see, everyone wants a passport to let me use dupe people. And those guru boys, when you go to driver's license, they are there. Whom are they working for? Are they not working for the staff over there? So sometimes you don't even know. And yes, let me comment the minister. But she didn't say that they don't know. They knew what is going on. So they should put top on and decentralize the thing. And those people queuing there, the guru boys, their duties will be over them. Thank you.
So do you have a passport? How was it when you were acquiring it?
Yes, I have one, and I didn't pay to anyone. In fact, I registered. In fact, someone assisted me to register. It's a colleague from campus, and he assisted me to register online. So I went through the process. Just that it took about almost a year before getting the but those who paid for, I could tell you that those who paid for had theirs in about a month or two, but it was almost a year.
Okay.
Because I followed the normal processes.
Okay, so when he followed the normal process, it took him a longer time. You can also call us 030-221-1691 to share your point. Well, let's continue with some of the thought that some of you are sharing on Facebook. Wavy Abdul Karim says, this is a minister, you are good. We will like your type. Keep your good works. May God bless you. Yeboah, okay, I think that has gone up. Yeboah Thomas says, well done, Honorable Minister. So that's Yeboah there. Tekute Isaac says, it's all about how effective our security systems are. That's what I think. Nana Kwesi Esiamwa Zab0 says, great job, Minister. So Sub-Zero is happy with what the minister did. Well, Nana is calling us from Kumasi, I guess. Nana, good morning to you. How are you doing, sir? Let's hear you.
Good morning. It's about the passport.
Okay.
It's very, very bad. I bought the 100 Ghana one, and then I went through the process. I was called and they took my bio data. I was captured, and I was given 14th of February to come for it.
Okay.
I have gone there several times. Anytime you go, they will check and they will tell you it is okay to print. But I have to get somebody in Accra to facilitate its printing. It is too much. So if you don't know anybody, so what the minister is saying that if you are overstaying the cycle, it doesn't solve the problem.
Okay.
It doesn't solve the if the biodata, everything has been captured, the person is captured, and it is in the system. It is full duty to print. You have taken money from the person, even if it is 5 cities, you have taken money from us. So what the minister is doing, it is not enough. Something should be done. Acquisition of passport in Ghana is hectic and it's a hell. Something should be done. Thank you very much.
Okay. So he says that acquisition of passport in Ghana is a hell and something must definitely be done about it. Give us a call on 0302211691 and would hear your thought. Let's still share with you some of the comments coming in from on Facebook. Evans Abanga says, great job. Bright Einstein Nogo says, God bless you. So that's his thought today. Opoku Boating Lebaski says, double strength and Godspeed. Ask for you, Madam. Kim Minsu says, very well said. Okay, so that's it. A lot of you are in agreement with what the minister said and did there. Bernard is joining us on the line. Bernard, good morning to you. What's your thoughts?
Good morning. Yes, my own concern in this issue is that I have my experience with the passport office, but it was a good one actually.
Okay.
I did my registration online, and afterwards they gave me some weeks to come and do the capture. And after the capture, they gave me 3 months to come and take the passport.
Okay.
And when I went after 3 months, I got a passport. So I think that what the minister did is a good thing. But I think that the problem is with the people. If we can try to get our passport or do the process and wait so that we can get it, rather than going for, or let me say last minute, going for the passport. This is where the problem is.
Okay.
I hope you understand.
Yeah, I understand. But is it not also true that sometimes somebody can be given a time within which he or she can get the passport, but because he hasn't seen anybody, seen in court, he won't get it at the stipulated time. It delays.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that with my experience, I got it on the time that they gave me. I went for the capture the time they told me to come for the capture, and I got it the time they told me to come for the passport.
Okay.
So I'm saying that people should know that they shouldn't do last minute things. If you
No. That's why I'm trying to draw your attention to the fact that someone may have not done last minute, but because he had not seen anybody, he hasn't gotten it. So your case could be 1 in, say, 100, because this one we spoke with someone who said that he wanted his passport because he didn't give anything. He didn't get it on the time, even though he didn't do last minute. So it's not about last minute. It could be that because you've not seen anybody, you're not getting it. It could also be that genuinely, like recently happened, they ran out of papers to print the passport. So it could be a myriad of challenges. But the minister says the Goro people and people who are interfering with the system are the reasons why people are suffering in getting the passport. And more people are siding with that thought.
Yes, it's true. It's true. That one is also a factor. There are so many factors contributing. Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you, sir.
Yeah, there are so many factors contributing to this. Okay. That is also a part. Lack of materials to print the passport, and also these Goro boys, and also with the public servants who are also exhibiting executing their work. You know, all this forms part. But if we also, the people, could go through the normal process and wait for the appropriate time to get it, we are going to get it. Because I'm not the only one. I did it I'm registered on the online platform, and I've done it for 3 months. They said you can do it for like 10 people.
Okay.
And I've done it for like 5 people. And all those people I registered for, they did it on time. They got it the time they told them to come for it.
That is fine. Thank you so much for joining us. So that's his thought and experience. What is your experience as well? 0302211691. Let's still share with you some of the thoughts coming in here. Derek Devlin Darlington says, your next visit is crucial. We'll be watching that episode too. Okay. Derek is interested in that one. Osu Safo Richard says, God bless you, Minister. Dixon Straightman says, this is the kind of leadership we want to see. DVLA should do same. Okay, so that is someone's suggestion there. Madam, go to DVLA. Yusuf Nana Asamoah says, thank you, Madam. This is too much. Delay using delay. Okay, all right. Interesting one there. Mohammed Fatawa Ability says, straight up, great job speaking out. Jason Yamwa says, people detest Honorable Ken for things like this. And that is the reason why we love him more. Madam, you must be the vice to Honorable Ken for 2024. God bless Ghana. Okay. So we have Isa on the line, yeah? Isa, good morning to you.
You say, good morning.
Let's have your viewpoint. Well, have you had any experience? What was it like?
Did his passport online since almost 2 years, since he was a student at UDS at WA.
Okay.
And up to now, he has been tracing up and down. He went to WA, they said they've done everything. He came to Accra, someone listed him. They said they've done everything. He's left with the passport. For almost 2 years now, my boy is getting crazy because of this passport.
He did it online for 2 years now. He hasn't gotten it.
Is it?
And for 2 years now, he hasn't gotten the passport.
He hasn't got passport. He has been following people. People are deceiving him. They will face it for him. This one, he has spent over 1,500.
Oh.
And he hasn't had a passport up to now.
And where is your son now?
Is it?
Where is your son now?
He's now doing this thing. He's doing this national service at EVLA.
Okay.
Then he has gone to work, but he will be back by 1 or 2 o'clock.
Okay.
He's known as Dramani Reader.
Okay.
Mohammed Reader.
Okay. I guess he'll keep trying now that the minister has spoken. I'm sure the effect will be that they would expedite action at these offices. So he should try again, and then whatever happens, I mean, we can still keep talking, okay?
When he comes, I'll give him this number so that he will try and call you.
Well, there's an office line. When he calls, it might be. But anyway, yeah, he can try it, and then we see. Yeah, thank you.
Or will you kindly give me your own line?
I'm grateful we're on national TV now. It will be difficult for me to, but my producer will speak to you and then pick your details. So that's that. But 0302211691. You can also call us and share your thoughts with us. But let's still share with you some of the comments coming in from our Facebook page. Etia Michael Nibayela Adombila says Professor Mills reincarnated. Oh, really? Okay. All right. And then he gives a thumbs up to the minister there. Jonathan Joe Elikem Akakpo. Okay. So Ben, that's your namesake. Should I say I'm a proud Ghanaian or should I wait small? Okay, I get your drift. He wants to wait small to see how this will go. Ebenezer Nyako Asare says, why should one suffer from gaining a traveling passport of his own country? The minister needs more support for this exercise. Bashiru Mahi says, God bless you for this. Kobe Ebo Mike says, this minister speaks from a real experience of the Ghanaian system. Okay. Paddy Sheriff says, oh, I can't thank you enough. Okay, so that's from Paddy there. Mark Ofori says, great job, minister. I remember former President Atta Mills did same at Tema Harbour those days. God bless those having the country at heart. Bantama Kwesi Boache says, well done, madam. Continue the good work. So that's from Bantama Kwesi Boache there. It reminds me of the song, Bantama Kwesi Boache. Okay. All right. Now, so, Abraham Afolson Yamoa says, Ghana card, oh, Ghana card. Okay. Sam Techi Jadidia says, it took me 8 months before I received my passport. Oh. Okay. William calling us from Shire Hills. Willie, how is Shire Hills?
All is fine, Shire.
Okay, let's hear you, sir. Willie, where are you?
I want to know what the issue is. What is the minister saying concerning the shortage of their papers?
Come again?
What the minister saying concerning the shortage of the papers, the booklet?
Well, once she's as for those issues, they told us some time ago they've resolved it. She didn't talk about it yesterday, but some time ago they said they've resolved it. Now she's talking about the sort of disruption some people are causing the applicant at these offices and why some people who have overstayed should leave. So we're asking, what is your experience at the passport office like? If you have one, give us a call and share it with us. 03022111691, 03022211691. Let's still share with you some more from our Facebook page. DK says, Johnny Beresford, okay. I'm waiting to hear from you tomorrow on your show. Okay. You can't do it if you mean it. All about leadership. You can do it if you mean it. It's all about leadership there. Kasim Gariba says, well spoken, Minister. More of these actions. Pick up those involved and the system gradually will transform. Fifi Benji says, the energy from Rollins and Mills. Okay, so she loves the energy the minister portrayed there. Alfred Okonko Nchieje says, patriotism, honesty, and discipline. David is calling us from Valley View. David, how are you, sir? Let's hear you. Do we still have David on the line, or we lost him?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay, David.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning.
David, don't listen to the volume of the TV. Listen to the phone, and so we can have a smooth conversation, yeah?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
We are listening to your thoughts here, your experiences with this whole passport thing. Okay. All right. We can still pick one or two, and then we can call it a wrap on the show. 03022211691, 03022211691. Let's still share with you some more from Facebook. Oheneba Kofi Nti II says, decentralization will help solve half of this problem. But I think now you can apply for passport from your regions, right? I think you can. Anyway, Patrick is calling us from, okay, Patrick is on the line. Oh, Tadi. Okay, Patrick, I say, not them. Let's hear you, sir.
Okay, I was very happy when I saw the foreign minister's action yesterday.
Okay.
There was a time I had wanted to travel. It was an emergency. And I applied for a passport in Accra. The guy took me 1,400. He said, if I don't pay the money, I cannot get the passport. But the receipt that they gave to me was 100 cedis bill. You understand? I paid 1,400 for it, but they gave me 100 cedis receipt after the processing. So I think what the minister has done is a good thing, and I hope it is not going to be a 9 days wonder, because the corruption in this country is too much. And very soon, one day, the youth in this country will rise up. You know what has happened in Argentina right now? Now, there was a party, let's say there was a party like NDC and NPP. And now a new person has come in just 2 years, and now he has won the elections in Argentina. So, what is happening? The youth of this country, we will rise up one day and form our own party. democratically. Because the corruption in this country is too much. Through his passport, they took me 1,004 and gave me 100 cedis receipt.
But you see, the person who took you the money is probably not the politician. So it means that if you form your own party and you don't correct the system, the person will still be in there and will be doing what he did to you to others.
Yeah, that's why I'm happy the minister has. You know, we have a anti-cancer that Abul of any stream, not quite any stream. You understand? Because they have started this, they'll grow up and become who they want to be, and they will still continue what they are doing. So I think the minister has really done well, and I think I'm hoping it's not going to be a 9-days wonder.
Okay.
If you go to DVLA to the same thing, the Goro boys are there. Everywhere they are there.
Okay.
So I think the government has to rise up a little bit. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Grateful to you for calling us. Azilevi Isaac Kabute. Oh, Isaac, how are you? I had been waiting. Kudos on the good job, Madam Minister. That's what he says. Lawo Edward Mensah says, you sack party boys and girls, you lose your job, Minister. Okay. So I get his drift, but is that what the minister is trying to do anyway? But it's been an interesting day, interesting time, and thank you so much for allowing us into your homes and your space, and for being part of the AM show today. Before we go anyway, let me say good morning to you, Bernard Otabel. He is with Bank of Ghana. I hope you're doing well. You had your birthday over the weekend. A belated birthday to you, Bernard Otabel. Do have a great day. But thanks to you for being part of us. On behalf of the production crew, the producer, the director, the cameraman, sound, and everybody, we say thank you so much. Gracias. We'll meet again, God willing, tomorrow.